Yi Mo stood by watching the police, taking all the ones he missed out. With the help of the man, they went into the HQ of the amphibian gang to find evidence. He couldn't help but to sigh. He didn't expect the man he saved to be cop. Yi Mo stood by watching the police, taking all the ones he missed out. With the help of the man, they went into the HQ of the amphibian gang to find evidence. He couldn't help but to sigh. He didn't expect the man he saved to be cop. He approved greatly of this policeman's courage, daring to go into the amphibian gang himself to search for evidence. This wasn't something an ordinary policeman dared to go. It seemed other than the corrupt ones. There were also hot-blooded men in the police force. However, his power was too weak, not even yellow level yet. Yi Mo didn't have a good impression of most cops, but this was an exception. He remembered the first time he met a policeman. He was schemed by that Huang Shu and taken into custody. It was Su Jingwen who got him out in the end. Su Jingwen. When Yi Mo thought of Su Jingwen, he felt warm at heart. Su Jingwen was one of the few friends he had. Other than Shi Xiao, his only friend at Ninghai was Su Jingwen. He wondered how she was doing now. However, they were just friends. He went to Ninghai a few times, but he didn't have the intention to go see her. Su Jingwen was quite troubled right now. She really didn't feel anything towards Xia Weizheng, but she couldn't completely reject him. After all, they grew up together, and her mother was quite happy with Weizheng. Sometimes Su Jingwen even thought she might as well go along with it, but thinking that she would be living with him for the rest of her life, she no longer had the courage to accept it. She thought about Ning Qingxue, and she really wanted to ask her how her relationship with Yi Mo was going. Thinking about that after coming to her birthday, Yi Mo never came to see her again, and Su Jingwen couldn't help to feel disappointed. But what she didn't expect was that when she came to Ning Qingshue's palsy, she found that Ning Qingxue had left Ninghai. She really didn't understand this. She knew that the reason Ning Qingxue stayed at Ninghai was due to Yi Mo. Su Jingwen didn't really believe that Ning Qingxue lost a year of memory. Su Jingwen took out the 2 bracelets Yi Mo gave her. One was given through Ning Qingxue, and another was given to her by Yi Mo on her birthday. The one given to her by Yi Mo only had 2 beads left, but she had the subconscious feeling that the 2-beaded coarse bracelet was more precious than the exquisite one Ning Qingshu gave her later, despite both of them came from Yi Mo. She suddenly admired Ning Qingxue. She did things however she liked. When Ning Qingxue asked her about how to use the charms, she knew that Ning Qingxue was going to do something dangerous. Later, Ning Qingxue came back with Yi Mo's bracelet. She knew that it must be related to Yi Mo. She could still remember the happiness of Ning Qingshue's face, and she was so pretty when she wore the necklace, really pretty. Her love for Yi Mo was almost written on her face. Why did she change so much in a mere few months? She left Ninghai without a word to Yu State? Could she really just put love aside like that? Su Jingwen felt the 2-beaded bracelet and suddenly remembered when Yi Mo danced with her. I seem to have a different feeling to him. Su Jingwen murmured, but soon shook her head. No, it's because he saved my mom's life. Thinking about this, Su Jingwen frowned. That wasn't right either. When she brought him out of the police station and made him dance with her, she didn't know Yi Mo was the charm master back then. She even only let Yi Mo sit in her car, and her cousin got angry over it. What was that? She wondered how Yi Mo was doing. Thinking about this, Su Jingwen suddenly had this irresistible urge and called Li Mume. Mume, I'm Jingwen. MHM, I'm good. Did Qingxue go back to Yu State? Why? Su Jingwen felt this strange feeling as she listened to Li Mume. Mume, you said Yi Mo went to find Qingxue? What happened? Su Jingwen's voice became desperate and had the tone of worry. Perhaps in her heart, Yi Mo was not only her mother's savior, but also her friend. I heard that he jumped off the building and spat out blood. There was no news of him afterwards. Li Mumei sighed and had this strange tone. Sometimes she'd rather Qingxue to not have lost her memories. That way, she had more human emotions. But now, Ning Qingxue turned back to the indifferent beauty at Beijing. What, jumped off the building? Su Jingwen almost dropped the phone on the ground. Li Mumei quickly explained. No, Yimo's quite strong. Yimo just jumped out of the window, but he probably climbed down the pipes, so he's fine. By the way, Jingwen, why are you asking about Yimo? Su Jingwen finally felt relieved and hearing Li Mumei's question. She explained with a stutter. Oh, I just thought he really jumped off the building. It's fine. Just say hello to Qingxue for me. Li Mumei hung up the phone, dubiously. As for saying hello to Qingxue for Jingwen, never mind. Qingxue and Jingwen only knew each other well in Qingxue's lost memories. Thinking about this, Li Mumei suddenly shook her hand and almost dropped her phone to the ground. She suddenly remembered that Ning Qingxue didn't lose 1 year of memory, but just everything that happened between her and Yimo. Why was it like this? This was too much of a coincidence. Su Jingwen put the phone down. She suddenly felt Ning Qingxue was too mean. How could she let Yimo jump off? No matter what, she shouldn't anger Yimo to the point of spitting blood. She didn't know how Yimo was doing now and began to worry for him. If she could find Yimo now, perhaps she would go to Yimo and comfort her. It's said that after losing love, both the body and heart would be very fatigued. She didn't know if Yimo would be like that. Would he do something stupid? Su Jingwen began to worry more, but she knew she wouldn't be able to find Yimo. No, she would set aside the matter with Xie Weizheng and ask about Yimo. He's not only her friend, but also her mother's savior. Even her mother wouldn't say anything about it. Yimo stood by the beach at the sharp sea corner. This should be a very popular tourist spot, but after the amphibian gang came here, it became a ghost town. Those young masters who liked racing also played here because it was spacious and empty. There were still a few ships parked by a small dock. It probably belonged to the amphibian gang, and a few jet skis. Yimo looked at the direction of the tide and searched for oil nearby. Those big tanks of oil couldn't fit in his ring, but he didn't want to put such things in his ring anyway. Thus, he could only pull a small boat behind the jet ski. He knew it wasn't just one-day thing to find the blood coral. After all the preparation was ready, Yimo then took off with a jet ski and started to search in the direction of the tide. He believed that if there was blood coral, there wouldn't just be one. Yimo decided to spend a month time to search for the blood coral. Although he had a blue flower blue leaf grass, it took too long to grow, and he gave it to Tang Beiwei. If he could find another blood coral, it wouldn't take him long to break through Qi gathering third stage. Yimo knew that the blood coral wouldn't be growing along the coast, so the first day, he drove the jet ski deep into the sea. Although his spirit sense could scan out 150 meters on land, but in the sea it could only reach 50 meters. But this 50 meters was enough for Yimo. The region of sea with blood coral would have slightly higher spirit density. Although Yimo knew that this wasn't a completely accurate judging factor for blood coral, he had no better way to find it. After one day, Yimo didn't find anything at all, but this jet ski burned oil really fast. His 2 cartridges of oil wouldn't be enough for long. On the 6th day, Yimo finished 1 cartridge of oil and still didn't find any signs of the blood coral. Yimo was thinking if he was looking at the wrong place when he saw a small deserted island. It was probably more accurate to call this island a big coral area. There was only 20 acres on it. Yimo looked at this island and felt a familiar sense. He immediately remembered where he saw this. It was the sea map from the jade box given to him by Guo Timing. Thinking about this, Yimo didn't hesitate and took out the sea map. Indeed, the island was exactly the same as the one on the map. However, the island was only one marker on the map. Other than the island, there was also a silver marking line which extended far into the sea. Yi Mo followed the mark and looked. According to the ratio, he might not be able to reach there even in a few months' time with his current speed. However, the island was only one marker on the map. Other than the island, there was also a silver marking line which extended far into the sea. Yi Mo followed the mark and looked. According to the ratio, he might not be able to reach there even in a few months' time with his current speed, because the next marker was no longer in the bay, but outside ocean. There were still markers outside the bay, and it was in the Indian Ocean. That wasn't even the final point. The final point was in the Antarctic Ocean. What Yi Mo didn't understand was, since it was a sea map, why not just mark the final point at the Antarctic Ocean? Why marked it to there point by point? If he didn't see this island by chance, he might really not be able to find it. According to the sea map, starting from this island, he will eventually find the final destination, but this map gave Yi Mo great confusion. No matter what the person who left the map behind wanted to do, he wouldn't be able to reach there with this jet ski. He came for blood coral, and the island was a complete coincidence. Yi Mo was thinking, would this island be connected to the blood coral he was trying to find, or was this map related to the blood coral? He knew that it was useless to keep searching, so Yi Mo didn't continue. Even if he was to, he needed to wait until his economic power was sufficient so he can buy a big ship to find it. Or, a simpler way was to cultivate to Chi gathering level 4 and flying on his flying sword. Since he had come here, no matter what, Yi Mo was going to have a look. Yi Mo parked his jet ski at the island and dived underwater. Yi Mo went down and the pressure increased, but even when Yi Mo was in stage 2, this pressure wouldn't worry him, much less that he was in stage 3 now. The more Yi Mo went now, the more he felt the island was shaped like an 8. His spirit sense could completely scan the bottom of the water. Yi Mo circled the island, but didn't find anything suspicious, nor did he find any signs of blood coral. It seemed that this was just a normal island, a map with just an ordinary island. Yi Mo really didn't understand. He didn't want to give up and kept circulating the island, but there was nothing special indeed. Yi Mo was very disappointed, and he could only come back to the surface of the sea. Yi Mo was surprised that the island and even his jet ski had just disappeared from the surface of the sea. Even Yi Mo, who was a cultivator, had goosebumps on his head. Perhaps this was normal in the cultivation realm, but not on Earth. He just dived into the water from here. How did the island just suddenly disappear? Yi Mo thought and immediately dived into the water again. He searched where he searched before, and what made him relieved was that the island was found by him again. This time, he went up along the border of the sea. When he was about tens of meters to the surface of the sea, he found he was standing on the top of the island. It was impossible for the sea level to increase, so that meant the island was sinking. After the island sunk, his jet ski drifted away as well. This island could sink itself. What did he just encounter? According to this speed, the next time he came to search for this island, it would have disappeared already. Yi Mo kept scanning his spirit sense around the island, and when he got to the waist, he finally found something wrong. The waist of the island was very smooth. Usually it should be filled with coral. It can't be this smooth. This was very suspicious. Yi Mo felt the island was still sinking, and he immediately came to the smooth surface and pressed. There was no reaction. Did he see wrong? This place definitely was different. Usually he would be able to scan his spirit sense in a few meters, but at this place he couldn't scan in at all. It seemed that this unknown type of rock could segregate even spirit sense. Yi Mo took a curved sword from his ring and sliced on the smooth surface. Soon, he dug the stone out with the sword. Finally, Yi Mo saw what was inside. It was a small box. It was artificial indeed. This smooth rock wasn't some precious thing. If this stone was sealed well, it could not only segregate spirit sense, but also water and fire. However, these stones were too little in amount. If there was enough, Perhaps Yemo would make a house out of this stone. Other than a jade box, there was nothing else in the stone box. Yemo took out the jade box. It was the exact same type as the one Guataimin gave him. It was by the same person indeed. It seemed he found the right spot. Yemo scanned his spirit sense inside the jade box. There was an incomplete yin-yang fish 8 trigram picture. To be exact, it was half or each. It was half a yin-yang fish and half of an 8 trigram. It seemed quite eerie. Yemo looked for a while and still didn't get what it was. He could only take it away. At this moment, the island had sunk 100 meters down, and Yemo came back to the surface of the sea. He didn't understand why the island was sinking, but if he was foundation, establishment, or higher, perhaps he would go down and see. But now, with his current state, that would be suicide. Luckily, he didn't gain nothing this time. Although he didn't find the blood coral, he found the place on the map and found a shard of yin-yang fish. But when Yemo stood on the sea again, he was troubled. He didn't know where his jet ski went and couldn't scan it with his spirit sense. He couldn't fly on swords now, and it was too hard to swim back. Although he could find a wooden board and step on that to go back, but that would use too much spirit chi. Perhaps before he even got back on land, he would be exhausted. Now he didn't have any pills to recover chi. If he wasted everything in the sea, perhaps a white shark could take his life. What made Yemo depressed was that as soon as he thought about sharks, a ferocious shark swam towards him. It was very easy to kill this shark, and he only needed to use his flying sword, and it would be done. But the flying sword was his baby. He usually didn't even want to use it to kill people, much less a shark. Yemo took out a curved sword, and with one swing, that ferocious shark was decapitated. But immediately, Yemo knew it wasn't good. He really shouldn't have killed it with a sword. The blood was too obvious. As soon as Yemo thought about this, tens of sharks had started swarming towards Yemo. Yemo killed a few more, but the sharks were getting more and more. At this rate, no matter how much spirit chi he had, it would be wasted by the sharks. Yemo no longer dared to kill sharks. If it was on the land, he could run. But in the sea, no matter how fast he was, he wouldn't be faster than sharks. Helplessly, Yemo found one shark and just jumped on its back. This shark immediately started to swerve heavily and kept diving into deep water and wobbling in the seawater, wanting to shake Yemo off, but Yemo sat very sturdy. He thought right. Although the shark was ferocious, it couldn't do anything about the prey on its back. It kept going further and further away and gradually left the shark group. Seeing the distant shark swarm, Yemo finally felt relieved. He finally escaped, otherwise he could only go into the deep sea. Although the shark couldn't chase him to there, he would use up a lot of chi too. After all, that pressure was very strong. Just when Yemo was about to let the shark go, he noticed that the shark was very fast. He thought perhaps he could use this shark as a ride. Not only did it not use oil, but it was fast. However, it just wasn't as comfortable sitting on it as the jet ski. Thinking about this, Yemo tried to use the shark to turn. It took him a whole 2 hours with constant beating and spirit sense, threatening that he could finally drive the shark as he wished. This was just a normal shark. If only it was a spirit beast. Yemo thought of the bear cockroach he gave Chi Wanqing. Although that wasn't a spirit animal, but it could form the ownership pact. This shark couldn't, because its intellect was far from that bear cockroach. Yemo stood on the shark back for about an hour or two and felt something wasn't right. Although this shark could be used to travel and wasn't slow, it couldn't be used for a long time. Once the time got slightly longer, the shark would get tired. Although it looked really cool standing on the back of the shark, it was quite troublesome that it needed rest. Helplessly, Yemo could only get some fishes to feed the shark and let it rest once every 2 hours. Despite this, a day later, the shark was getting slower and slower. Yemo did think about getting another one, but thinking about how he still needed to train it for half a day, Yemo lost interest. Oh my God, did I see right? I actually saw someone standing on the back of a shark riding on the sea. Oh God, China really is a magical country. A blonde girl with blue eyes held a telescope and exclaimed, "Oh my God, did I see right? I actually saw someone standing on the back of a shark riding on the sea. Oh God, China really is a magical country." A blonde girl with blue eyes held a telescope and exclaimed. The tall white man behind her laughed. "Lena, you like China so much. You also said that your Chinese friend knew a magical doctor, and now you see someone riding on the back of a shark." The man spread his hands out and joked. "Okay, when you see that person starting flying, then call me." "Uncle Jack, I really saw a man standing on the back of a shark, and he's coming over towards us." The girl, called Lena, didn't put the telescope down, but continued to exclaim as she watched. "Is it real? Today isn't April Fool's." This white man took a telescope and looked dubiously. As soon as Jack looked, he almost dropped his telescope on the ground. He really saw a person standing on the back of a shark riding in the sea. "Oh God, it's actually real. China is too magical. Mr. M.O., your country is too magical. It was the right decision to come this time, even if we can't cooperate, but it's worth this magical scene." Jack, like Lena, didn't want to put the telescope down again. The man, called Mr. M.O., walked over curiously. "Lena, what are you guys talking about? I don't understand." The man suddenly stopped because, even without the telescope, he saw a person on the back of a shark approaching rapidly from a few hundred meters away. Yi Mo saw this cruise ship from a long way away, and thinking that he couldn't reach the land with the shark, so he wanted to hop on the ship. "It's real." The Mo man saw the fast-approaching shark. Yi Mo was near the cruise ship in no time, and with a flying jump, he went from the back of the shark aboard the ship. Oh my God, he flew up here. Jack could no longer hold the telescope in his hands. Two Marines had walked over quickly with their weapons. They didn't see how Yi Mo got on the ship, but they saw a stranger and immediately reported it to the captain. Lena came up in front of Yi Mo with astonishment and said a bunch of words. Her face was red with excitement, but Yi Mo didn't understand a single word. Jack saw Yi Mo frown and quickly dragged Lena aside. Yi Mo looked at the two black Marines but said to the Mo guy, "My ship's sunk in the sea. I'll borrow your ship to get to land." The Mo man immediately said with joy, "Okay, that's fine. I'll tell the captain now." He thought Yi Mo was a pirate, but even a pirate wouldn't attack here. However, Yi Mo's words made him feel relieved completely and turned around to talk to the two Marines. The two Marines heard the man's words and looked at Yi Mo once and said no more. They rushed inside the ship. Yi Mo went to the corner of the ship and sat down. He closed his eyes and cultivated. Soon he opened his eyes and asked that Mo man, "What else is it?" "Hello. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm Mo Hai, the manager for the Hong Kong Mo Corporation. The captain wanted to see your identity documents." Mo Hai said hesitantly. He wanted to get to know Yi Mo, so he didn't really hide his origin. Yi Mo nodded. There were a lot of foreigners here, and he didn't want to talk much. He took out his ID and gave it to Mo Hai and said, "Sorry to trouble you. Where will the ship get to land?" "At the Hong Kong cruise ship docks." "Are you going to Hong Kong as well?" Mo Hai was very polite with Yi Mo. He saw Yi Mo's powers with his own eyes. Lena ran over, however, and dragged Mo Hai's sleeves. "Uncle Mo, do you know him? Can you introduce him to me? I want to learn his magic." Mo Hai smiled helplessly. "Lena, I don't know him. Great masters like him don't usually take disciples." Yi Mo looked at Mo Hai in surprise and thought that there were 3 people who saw him on the back of the shark. Other than this Mo Hai, there were the other 2 foreigners. But those foreigners were extremely shocked, while Mo Hai, although surprised, but was not as flabbergasted as those 2 foreigners. Did he usually see people like him? Thinking about this, Yi Mo asked, "Mo brother, have you seen people like me before?" Mo Hai quickly shook his head and replied, "No, I've just heard my uncle say that our country has a lot of hidden families and they all have special powers. So, I know there are masters like you out there. Mo Hai's tone was very polite, fearing to make Yi Mo unhappy. So that was how it was. Yi Mo nodded. It seemed this Mo Hai's uncle was simple to be able to hear about the hidden families. Mo Hai? Hong Kong as well. Was he related to Mo Kong? If that was so, then it would be such a coincidence. Yi Mo looked at Mo Hai and smiled. Mo brother, I have a friend called Mo Kong. He lives at Hong Kong Chin Quan Street, Half Mount Mansion. Do you know him? Mo Kong is my uncle. Mo Hai looked at Yi Mo with joy. He didn't expect this person to know his uncle. Even he wasn't able to see his uncle whenever he liked. So Mo Kong is your uncle. Yi Mo nodded. He didn't talk, but he already understood why Mo Hai wasn't that shocked seeing him ride sharks in the sea. He probably heard about the hidden sect things from Mo Kong and thought he was from the hidden sections. Plus, even Han Zaixin thought he was from the hidden sections. At this moment, a fat white man walked over with 2 Marines behind him. Mo Kong quickly walked up and talked with the white man for a while and showed Yimo's identity to the white man. Probably because Mo Kang's status was quite high, the white man spoke a few sentences and brought the 2 Marines in and didn't walk over towards Yimo. Mo Kong ran over quickly and gave Yimo's identity back to Yimo and said, "So you're Dr. Yi? I've heard my uncle talk about you. You saved my uncle's life. It's really an honor to see you today. Mr. Yi, please have a sit in my room." Yi Mo thought it was too obvious to sit at the head of the ship, so it would be better to go sit at Mo Hai's place. Seeing Yi Mo and Mo Hai walk in, Lena quickly dragged Jack, wanting to follow. Mo Hai looked helplessly at Jack, but Jack just shrugged his shoulders. Mo Hai said to Yi Mo apologetically, "Lena's really innocent, but she doesn't understand Chinese. Jack is going to Hong Kong to discuss business with us. He's the manager from the Asian sector of the England Reuben Medicines. He's coming to Hong Kong under our invitation." Medicine company. Yi Mo thought about his company. Perhaps in the future, he can do business with this Brit. However, Yi Mo wasn't worried that he wouldn't be able to sell his products. In the future, only people will beg him, he won't beg others. The few people entered Mo Hai's room. Mo Hai quickly helped each people a cup of water. In his heart, although Jack was a moneymaker, Yi Mo's identity was more important. Of course, Mo Hai knew how important Yi Mo was in the heart of his uncle Mo Kong. Once he got Yi Mo's approval, Yi Mo only needed to say something and he would be worth a lot more in his uncle's heart. "My uncle has always been talking about you. Grandy, do you have time to go have a seat at my uncle's mansion?" Mo Hai was getting more and more polite with Yi Mo. Yi Mo waved his hand and said, "No need. I still have my things. By the way, just call me Yi Mo. I'm not Grand." Mo Hai laughed awkwardly, but soon he found a topic. "Grandy, you are in the same generation as my uncle. Of course you're grand to me. However, have you heard about the 2 major things in mainland? Although we came from Australia, we've heard about these 2 things." "Oh, what is it?" Yi Mo asked subconsciously. "The biggest thing is that the amphibian gang was annihilated in one night. Even the HQ was burnt. Another thing is that the Xian Jiang Chao family was also exterminated in one night. It was said it was due to a blood quarrel." Mo Hai wanted to get closer to Yi Mo, so he found some big topics to increase the intimacy. "What? Chao family was really exterminated?" Yi Mo suddenly stood up. He couldn't calm down. It wasn't because that the Chao family was exterminated, although he knew Chao gang, but he already warned Chao gang. What he cared about was the blood coral. Yi Mo knew how hard it was to find the blood coral after going into the sea. The blood coral was originally in the Chao family, and he couldn't rob it, but now that it was robbed by someone else, what he was waiting for. In Yi Mo's eyes, the blood coral was taken by the Cha family 99%. The Cha family was with the Earth Fiend, and that was his enemy. If he didn't go rob it from the Cha family, he was an idiot. When was this? Yi Mo immediately asked. He didn't care if Mo Hai suspected him. Once he fought with Earth Fiend, this would be unveiled eventually. I heard it's been a week, and it's being spreading everywhere in mainland. Haven't you heard about it, Qianbei? Mo Hai asked in surprise. I heard it's been a week, and it's being spreading everywhere in mainland. Haven't you heard about it, Qianbei? Mo Hai asked in surprise. Yi Mo knew this was the time he went out searching for the blood coral. Now that Mo Hai said this, his heart was like burning. It had been a week. If these idiots just ate the blood coral or used it to make pills, then all would be gone. Thinking about this, Yi Mo couldn't help to blame his soft-heartedness. If he wasn't soft-hearted, since he knew that the Cha family would attack the Qiao family, he could stay in Xinjiang, and after the Cha family annihilated the Qiao family, he could be the fisherman standing at the back. But he knew that if he stayed in Xinjiang, he would stop them when the Cha family attacked. But still, it went against his heart. Other than Qiao Gang, Yi Mo looked down on all the people in the Qiao family. It went against his heart to save these people. Subconsciously, he didn't want the Qiao family to be annihilated. After all, hoping a family to be annihilated for a herb was too bloody. But since this became true, he wouldn't hold back. What Yi Mo didn't expect was that it just happened right after he went into the sea. He was caught unprepared. He didn't know was it too late to do anything about it. Mo brother, which city is closest to us right now? Yi Mo asked desperately. Mo Hai quickly replied. The closest one should be South Sea, Sanya City. If we go there, it will take less than a day longer for Hong Kong. Less than a day? Yi Mo immediately got Mo Hai to point him a direction on the deck. If it really was that little distance, then he didn't need to stay on the ship. He only needed to ride a wooden board for half a day. Jack and Lena followed Yi Mo dumbly. Lena really wanted to ask Yi Mo to learn magic, but she didn't understand Chinese. This made her determined to study Chinese when she went back. Yi Mo saw that there was not much people on the deck and took out a wooden block from his ring and said to Mo Hai, I have a company that's also pharmaceutical related. You can talk to your uncle about it. If possible, we can cooperate, but my company just started. If you want to collaborate, you can go to Flowing Snake and talk about it with Zhang Jian. I'm still busy, so I won't say much goodbye. Then Yi Mo jumped into the sea, standing on the wooden board, and soon disappeared, leaving behind 3 people with their mouth open wide in shock. God! Jack couldn't say anything else. Yi Mo followed the direction Mo Hai pointed, and it was only 2 hours, and the sky just got dark and he could see lights. This was San Yen. Yi Mo knew about Jiang Nan Cha family. When Wu Guang told him, he asked about it. The city Cha family wasn't big. It was near Luotsang. It was originally a small city, but due to population growth, it changed into a medium city. The city was called Liangpu City. If he wanted to go there, he would need to fly to Luotsang first, and then go from there. After so much time had passed, even Yi Mo wasn't sure if the blood coral was still at the Cha family. If it really the Cha family who slaughtered the Qiao family, then the blood coral might still be there. If it wasn't the Cha family, or if the Cha family worked with other hidden sects, then it might not be there anymore. The earliest flight from Sanya to Luotsang was at 7 a.m. Although he arrived in Sanya at night, he still needed to wait there overnight before going to Luotsang. Yi Mo had no choice but to wait, getting here from the sea. Although he used his qi to dry his clothes and washed it with water, it was still uncomfortable after staying in the sea for so long. He found a hotel, showered, and changed a clean set of clothes before going out to get food. He'd only been eating grain these past few days. For the first time, he walked so casually on the street, finding a place to eat. If only Luoying was by his side. Yi Mo thought of her and sighed. He knew this was dreaming. Yi Mo walked to a big fast food block and ordered something casually and got a few bottles of beer. He felt the food was not bad here. Just when Yi Mo was about to finish, A crisp girl voice interrupted him. You are Yi-mo. Huh, it really is you. How are you here? The girl saw Yi-mo look up and yelled in excitement. As soon as this girl yelled, Yi-mo recognized her. Although he didn't know what she was called, but she was his schoolmate. He still had some impression. I'm Wang Yanming. Don't you know me? We've been in the same class for many years. To be honest, you changed so much. The girl spoke and her tone was elated and excited. Yi-mo was speechless. He never even talked much to this Wang Yanming. He didn't know why she was so excited, but since she said that, he could only smile and say, Since you came, come and eat with me my treat. Okay, then I won't be too polite. Then Wang Yanming pulled the man and woman beside her down as well and said to Yi-mo, This is Lu Jia, my colleague, and this is my boyfriend Yu Tao. Yanming, this is your uni friend? He's quite handsome. Lu Jia was skinny. Although she wasn't plump, her face was very exquisite, and she studied Yi-mo curiously. Yi-mo felt his chin awkwardly due to cultivation. He had this ethereal, out-of-this-world temperament. In normal people's eyes, that meant he was handsome. In fact, in the cultivation realm, as long as you weren't too ugly, every guy was handsome and every girl was beautiful. Hello, I'm Yu Tao, Yanming's boyfriend. Nice to meet you. Yu Tao was a little introverted and average-looking, but he cared about Wang Yanming a lot. Yi-mo nodded and shook hands with Yu Tao and ordered a few more dishes. Yi-mo, you really changed a lot. Yan was really blind. So pretentious. Of course Wang Yanming knew about Yi-mo's past and felt unhappy for him now. Yi-mo smiled. He already forgot about those sort of things and just said, I've had quite a lot. You guys, are you working at Sanya? Yeah, after I graduated, I came to Sanya with Yu Tao. It's quite nice here. By the way, did you know that after you left, Yunbing asked about you? It seemed she was looking for you, desperately. Wang Yanming talked nonstop. Although Yi-mo didn't feel as elated as Wang Yanming, he knew how she was feeling. Yi-mo thought about Xiao. Ever since leaving Ninghai University, he had never seen him again. This time, he could ask Wang Yanming about him. Lu Jia poured herself a cup of beer and was about to drink with Yi-mo, but a small bug flew into her cup. Lu Jia exclaimed and quickly dropped the cup on the side. Dumb bitch, you're asking to die. A ferocious voice sounded and a sturdy-looking bald youth wiped the beer from his clothes and slapped towards Lu Jia. Lu Jia was frightened and quickly retreated. This slap didn't hit her, but the youth obviously wasn't planning to let her go like that. Sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I'll pay you money. Lu Jia saw the tattoo on the youth's arm and was so scared she couldn't say complete sentences. Yu Tao wanted to stand up, but was pushed back by the two hoodlums beside the youth and was kicked. Wang Yanming held him, but was full of worry. Yi-mo sighed. He couldn't even eat a proper meal. He walked over and grabbed the hand the youth was about to slap Lu Jia with. Since she already apologized and your clothes only just got a little wet, there's no need to be like this. Who the fuck do you think you are? I'll let you know today. This ferocious youth saw that Yi-mo dared to grab his wrist and was more furious. You mouth stinks. Yi-mo raised his hand and slapped. Before this youth finished his words, 3 of his teeth was knocked out. He spun on the ground and smashed into the 2 youths behind him. The youth grabbed his mouth and his face started to swell. He muttered unclearly at Yi-mo and said in a more ferocious tone, You dare to hit me! You don't want to fucking live. Yi-mo shook his head. He'd seen dumb ones, but had never seen someone this dumb. He held back on that slap, but this guy was still acting up. Yi-mo walked up and raised his leg and was about to give him another leg. Friend, you're quite cruel. Why don't I, Shuai Lu, got informed when someone like you came to Lu Wang Jiao. If you got balls, kick him. A coarse voice sounded. Hearing this voice, the youth immediately said in joy, Lu brother, help me get revenge. But before they both finished, Yi-mo already kicked. and this youth spat out more teeth and could no longer talk. Okay, you got balls. If I let you walk out of Luang Jiao, there's no need for me to stay here anymore. That coarse, voiced man growled. Okay, then don't stay here anymore. Yemo really didn't have the mood to play with these hoodlums, but so much things happened just from a meal. He walked up and gave another few slaps. Okay, then don't stay here anymore. Yemo really didn't have the mood to play with these hoodlums, but so much things happened just from a meal. He walked up and gave another few slaps. The roaring man didn't even get time to react and was slapped down on the ground again, spitting out teeth just like that youth. Okay, you're the first one to be so cocky coming to Luang Jiao. If you have balls, wait for my boss. Then, Shuai Lu picked up a phone and called. You don't need to call. I will go see your big boss. To be honest, you have too many big bosses. Yemo shook his head. If it wasn't for Wang Yanming, he would go as soon as he beat them up, but now, if he did, Wang Yanming and her friends would be done. So he had to do things cleanly. The coarse-voiced man heard Yemo's words and looked at him in surprise. After a moment, he laughed cruelly and said, Okay, you have balls indeed. Then he struggled to get up and said to the two clonies behind him, Bring bald guy back! Due to the fight, all the people eating here had left. Yemo turned back and said to Wang Yanming and them, Go back first. I will deal with things here. Although Lu Jia was shocked, she immediately said, Yemo, you can't go with them. These people will kill. Let's go quickly. No need. I know what I'm doing. You guys go. Oh, by the way, Wang Yanming, do you have news about Sherxiao? Yemo remembered what he was going to ask. Wang Yanming dazed for a moment. She really couldn't understand how Yemo had the feeling to ask about Sherxiao now, but she still replied. Something seemed to have happened in Sherxiao's family. He only did a makeup exam after graduation. If you want to find him, you can go to the on-year graduation gathering. He quite possibly will go. Something happened in his house. Yemo was beginning to worry for Sherxiao. It seemed he needed to go to this graduation reunion. Hurry up and drive. Keep staring, and I will kick again. Yemo's mood wasn't well after knowing about Sherxiao. Shuai Lu almost choked, hearing Yemo's tone. It was as though Yemo was the hoodlum and he was the one being harassed. He thought about this depressingly and received another kick on his back. At the same time, Yemo told him to drive. This Yemo guy was so cocky. Just wait till he gets to the HQ. If he won't make Yemo lose half his life, he wouldn't budge. Yemo, are you really going to go with set people? Wang Yanming asked worriedly. She wasn't dumb. She knew what Yemo meant. She was afraid that after he left, they would be taken upon by vengeance. Wang Yanming looked at Yemo again and just realized that despite being classmates with him for 4 years, she never seemed to really understand him. Lu Jiao walked over. Yanming, go back with Yu Tao first. I started this. I will go with Yemo. No, if we're going, we go together. Wang Yanming immediately rebuked Lu Jia's suggestion. Yemo saw these people were quite loyal friends and said, Okay, then let's go together. We're just going for a cup of tea anyway. Are you coming or not? Shuai Lu wasn't happy about being kicked several times. He made up his mind. Even if these people didn't want to go, he would manage to let them go. Yemo kicked on Shuai Lu's back again until he buried his face in the ground. Did I allow you to talk? Hurry up and drive, Yemo said coldly. The HQ, Shuai Lu said, was only a simple meeting place. It seemed this power faction was still growing. Yemo and them just walked in, and a few people already sealed their exit and closed all the doors. Lu Jia and them had never seen such a scene and immediately tensed up, following Yemo closely. Yemo's previous performance meant that he was a great fighter. These few young people have balls. Although our Western San just got here, were not something that small fries can bully. Yemo just walked into the main hall and a plain voice sounded. Big brother, it's this man. He's very cocky and beat out half of Bald's teeth. He even said he would come for you here. Shuai Lu quickly exaggerated. Western sand. Yemo knew there was a northern sand. He also knew western sand, but it was much smaller than northern sand. He even met the big boss of western sand, Jiao Biani. He didn't know if this western sand came from Hong Kong. If it did, Jiao Biani's power was expanding quite rapidly. Yemo walked in and saw the middle-aged man sitting in the center, and immediately knew this was Jiao Biani's western sand. Because when he rushed into the big boss meeting at Hong Kong, this man was right behind Jiao Biani. However, the one in western sand who gave Yemo the deepest impression was Peng Yang. This guy was not bad, but he followed Jiao Biani. No matter if my balls are big or not, you have no right to talk to me. Even Jiao Biani doesn't dare to sit and talk to me like this. It seems your balls are bigger than mine, Yemo said coldly. The middle-aged man heard Yemo talk about Jiao Biani and immediately stood up anxiously. He was only a fighter for Jiao Biani. Recently, due to Nanqing and Metal River both declining, their western sand had the chance to come to mainland to expand their interests. However, he didn't expect this young man to know Jiao Biani. He had to be careful. You are Yi Qianbei. Wan Bei is Shuai Shi. I've been followed Jiao Boss. This middle-aged man finally recognized Yemo. When Yemo killed as he smiled and caught a bullet with his bare hands, even Metal River had to carefully stay with him. His big boss took it as an honor to have spoken with Yemo. How could he not know about Yemo? He never even wanted to mess with Yemo. His teeth were already shivering. Shuai Shi knew that it was only a piece of cake if Yemo wanted to kill him. He no longer dared to sit on top and quickly ran over, bowing down to Yemo. But he soon understood who the source of the trouble was. Shuai Shi walked in front of Shuai Lu and gave him a few slaps while kicking Shuai Lu out many meters. Shuai Lu sat on the ground looking at his boss in shock. He had been quite heavily applauded by his big boss. Why did his boss hit him without asking him? Was it because of this Yemo? Big boss called him Qianbei. What was this? Wang Yanming and the friends were more shocked. They didn't expect things to be so comedic. They thought they would lose a layer of skin, at least if not die, but immediately the boss was so respectful to Yemo. Shuai Shi quickly bowed to Yemo and said, Yi Qianbei, please sit. Until Yemo sat at the very top, did Shuai Shi breathe smoothly. He also said politely to Wang Yanming and her friends, You are my honorable guests. Please sit. Invited to sit and enjoy tea, other than Yemo, who was still calm, Lu Jia and his friends were confused. But they also knew that this was all because of Yemo. Wang Yanming couldn't understand Yemo even more. How did he make these people so polite? Shuai Shi seated them before roaring to Shuai Lu, Piss off! Break Baldy's leg. You face the wall and repent in kneeling. How dare you attack Yi Qianbei? I think you don't want to live. Shuai Lu was full of wronged feeling, thinking, how would I know he was Yi Qianbei? When he first came in, you also said the young people these days were quite bold, but now you changed so fast. Even though he was thinking that, he didn't dare to say it. Yemo waved his hand and said, Okay, this thing ends here, but I don't want it happens again. Otherwise, I don't mind squashing this department. Yes. Yi Qianbei, don't worry. We came here to do proper business. Shuai Shi quickly said. He felt his back was full of sweat. He didn't think Yemo was bluffing. Even if Yemo said he would squash Western Sand, he would still not dare to doubt it. He heard that even Metal River and Nanqing were destroyed by Yemo. Although Western Sand was growing rapidly, they were far from being able to match against Nanqing and Metal River. Yemo wouldn't care if these people were doing proper business or not. It was irrelevant to him. If it wasn't for Wang Yanming and her friends, He wouldn't even come today. Yi Qianbei, I have an important message to report to you. She knew that Yi Mo's impression of him wasn't too good already. He needed to get on Yi Mo's good side. Oh, what is it? Yi Mo knew she's intentions, but he didn't mind. He didn't have the time to care about these people. Since this was done, he was prepared to leave. She put on a smile and walked beside Yi Mo. Qianbei should know about the blood coral, right? I heard it's very useful for ancient martial artists. Qiao family was exterminated due to it, but not long ago. A small henchman of mine heard about it at a bar. What? Yi Mo sprung up, but he immediately stopped Shuai's words and turned to Wang Yanming and them. You guys can go back first. There's no more trouble here. No one would dare to go for you in the future. Yes, don't worry. I'll get someone to drive you guys back. She heard Yi Mo's words and immediately said politely to Wang Yanming and them. After Wang Yanming and her friends left, Yi Mo asked, Tell me, what news did you hear about the blood coral? After Wang Yanming and her friends left, Yi Mo asked, Tell me, what news did you hear about the blood coral? She rejoiced. He originally just wanted to suck up to Yi Mo and didn't expect Yi Qianbei to be so interested in this news. He quickly said, Yesterday, an underling of mine was drinking at Lu Wang Bar and heard the conversation between two people. Then, she looked at Yi Mo. Seeing that he was listening intently, he decided to reward that underling who got the news. In his excitement, she continued, One of the two was a woman. She told the other person that that person was too strong. If the blood coral was related to that person, then she wouldn't intervene. She also said she didn't want to continue this mission. Even if this mission was done and she could be promoted to the Earth Department, she didn't want to do it anymore. She said that that person wasn't someone she could kill. That man said that the organization would hunt her if she left mid-mission. Then that woman sunk into silence and didn't say anything. Earth Department. Yi Mo thought of the girl called Dong Qing, whom he marked with his spirit sense. She should be from the Earth Fiend, a human-level killer. Was that woman her? But why would she be here? And if it really was Dong Qing, how could a human-level killer from the Earth Fiend leave such a big clue, allowing a small hoodlum to get this news? Yi Mo thought of this and frowned. She saw this, and his elated mood began to sunk. He didn't know why Yi Mo would frown at this news, and just when he was getting nervous, Yi Mo asked, How did your man get this news? So that was it, she quickly said. Wang Kongwei just said he heard the news, but he didn't say how. I'll call him over immediately. Then she saw that Yi Mo didn't react, so he called outside, Get Wang Tsongwei to come here immediately. Wang Tsongwei came here very fast. It was just a few minutes, and he was already here. Seeing Shi, he quickly put on a smile and said, Big boss, you need me for something? Shi nodded and said, This is Yi Qianbei. He has something to ask you. You need to reply carefully. If you're not, don't blame me then. Seeing his boss' serious eyes, Wang Tsongwei quickly nodded and said, Yes, Yi Qianbei, please ask. You heard about the blood coral from the Lu Wang Bar? Yi Mo asked. Wang Kongwei gasped a breath of relief. He thought it was going to be something else. He quickly said, Yes, Qianbei, I heard about it in the Lu Wang Bar. At the time I was drinking, and there were two people talking in the room next door, and I heard everything clearly. Yi Mo sneered and knocked the table. You are lying. If you keep lying, don't blame me for what's going to happen next. She stood up and slapped Wang Tsongwei. You don't want to fucking live. How dare you lie to Yi Qianbei? Ah. Wang Tsongwei was slapped, rolling away, but he didn't dare to wipe the blood from his mouth. He didn't get how this Yi Qianbei knew he was lying. But that wasn't important anymore. What was important was that if he kept lying, then perhaps his boss would really kill him. Wang Tsonggui knelt and begged, "Big boss, have mercy. Everything I said is real. I just didn't hear it from next door. I know a manager of the bar, and last time when it was renovating, I put 2 extremely hidden cameras in the wall. I wanted to use it to sneakily record some things and use them to blackmail people. Yesterday, 1 man and woman got in the room. I thought something was going to happen, but they searched the room for a long time and didn't find anything, so they said those words. Big boss, Qianbei, everything I said is real." Yi Emo nodded. It seemed that this Wang Tsonggui had some capabilities. However, no matter how good he was, how could Dong Qing not discover the camera he installed? If Dong Qing only had such skills, then the so-called Earth Fiend Killer was only so-so. Then what happened? Yi Emo continued asking. Wang Tsonggui didn't dare to hide anything and replied, "In the next hour or so, the 2 didn't speak and just drew with paper. They didn't even touch each other's hands and left. I didn't get anything valuable." Yi Emo was speechless. Wang Tsonggui thought bed action was the only valuable thing. If there was no bed action, then it was all useless. This guy was a unique one. Just when Wang Tsonggui didn't know what the Qianbei was going to do with him, Yi Emo said, "Okay, bring me to that bar and see. Then show me that recording." "Yes, I'll call my friend immediately and tell him to bring the recording." Wang Tsonggui was very cunning. He knew that this Yi Qianbei wasn't talking about those adult movies and wanted to know the content of the 2's conversation. Lu Wang Bar was probably the biggest bar around. When Yi Emo came in, he found that this bar was indeed recently renovated. No wonder Wang Tsonggui could install cameras inside. Led by Wang Tsonggui, Yi Emo went into the room with the cameras installed. He looked at the place where the cameras were installed and couldn't help to applaud for Wang Tsonggui's cunning. If he didn't have spirit sense, the cameras would be very hard to find. Wang Tsonggui put the camera on the wallpaper. Not only was it small, but the camera lens was the black seed of the flower. There were so many flower seeds on the wallpaper. Who would compare them one by one? This guy was a natural. Wang Tsonggui and his friends both looked shady, but because the recording was from last night, it hadn't been wiped. Yi Emo turned on the computer and checked the recording. The woman who appeared was Dong Qing indeed. There was another handsome youth, middle build and short hair. This youth had a worried look. The 2 searched the room. From the lens, it could be seen that both were thinking about other things, so the search was careless. What they said was exactly as what Shuaishi had said, but then they didn't talk. They were drawing something on paper. The image was covered by Dong Qing's back, and Yi Emo couldn't see clearly. Until they left, most of the time they were drawing on the paper and didn't talk anymore. When they packed the paper away, Yi Emo saw there was a coral that protruded at the side of the sea. He seemed to have seen this coral before not long ago when he came from the sea. He got some leads and stood up saying to Shuaishi, "Good, lucky I had you this time. You did very well. Next time I see Jiao Biani, I will tell him. I still have things now, so I'll be going first." Shuaishi's eyes were full of joy, and he quickly said more polite words until sending Yi Emo out. Until he saw Yi Mo's back disappeared, he still seemed like he couldn't believe it. He could come to Sanya completely because he had been with Jiao Biani for so many years and was given a chance. But now it was different. He actually unintentionally got on the good side of Yi Qianbei. He would be rising into the heavens in front of Jiao Boss. The more he thought, the more she was excited and turned around to his henchmen and said, "You guys must treat those friends of Yi Qianbei well. If any one of you dares to be rude to them, then don't blame me." It was more than 10 at night. Yi Emo was fast and came to the beach in 20 minutes. He found there was a big coral there indeed. Yi Emo jumped and landed on the coral. There was nothing on it, and no people, but Yi Emo was happy. He felt the spirit sense marker he left. He left this on Dong Qing before. With his current power, as long as Dong Qing was within 5 kilometers, he would be able to feel it. And now, Yemo felt that spirit sense marker was in the sea and it was about to leave his spirit sense range. Yemo didn't dare to wait and took out a wooden board. He stood on it and rapidly made way towards his spirit sense marker. It was only a few minutes, and a white yacht appeared in front of Yemo. Yemo went over quickly and found there was an old man in his 50s on guard. The yacht was parked there and not moving. Yemo got on the boat and scanned in. There were only 2 people inside. They were Dong Qing and the youth he saw. Dong Qing, is there really someone this strong? I've heard of the hidden sect masters, but someone you described is too absurd. This time, the authority even sent torrents. He's Earth rank yellow level modder. Perhaps we can gamble once. Plus, last time at the race, how can you be sure it was Yemo who did things? Plus, do you really think he can change the bomb under your eyes? That youth seemed to have thought for a while before saying hesitantly. Dong Qing's face was pale, and she shook her head. Qing, you haven't been in touch with him. You don't understand how strong he is. Now that I think about it, I'm actually quite scared. I'm sure he did it right under my eyes, but I wasn't able to see it. Pausing for a moment, Dong Qing continued, when he was talking to me, I had this feeling of my heart skipping beats. Then, when Wu Feng pressed the button, the car that exploded was his own. I was sure that if I didn't leave at the time, I would be in his hands now. And... Pausing for a moment, Dong Qing continued, when he was talking to me, I had this feeling of my heart skipping beats. Then, when Wu Feng pressed the button, the car that exploded was his own. I was sure that if I didn't leave at the time, I would be in his hands now. And what? Qing immediately asked. Dong Qing hesitated before saying, I suspect he has left a mark on my body. But afterwards, I kept washing myself and changing clothes, but that feeling of being marked is still there. I'm not sure if I'm being too suspicious or not, but my sixth sense is usually correct. If it wasn't for my sixth sense, I would have died at the mission in Hong Kong last time. Yemo listened and commended. This Dong Qing really was a natural assassin. He could leave his spirit sense on an Earth-level master like Jing Shi Waihout being found, but this Dong Qing was able to guess it. Although she wasn't sure, but this instinct was amazing. Dong Qing didn't even have a level in ancient martial arts. She was just a hitman. Qing dazzled it for a while before saying, You're thinking too much. How can there be such a mark in the world? Plus, he just held your hands. Although it was quite long, who knows if Yemo was lustful or not. Perhaps he just wanted to grab your hands. He couldn't use your hands to mark you. If he really could, then it would be too magical. Dong Qing shook her head and said, Not right. He probably didn't want to grab my hands. Tang Bei Wei was much prettier than me. He might grab her hands rather than mine. Tang Bei Wei is his sister. Of course he can't do anything to her. Qing immediately rebuked. Mimi, how do you know she is his sister? Have you done DNA testing? Plus, one of them is Tang and the other is Yi. I can't be sure. When I was investigating him in Ninghai, I saw him stay in the same bedroom with her for a night. And Yemo doesn't look like someone lustful. Dong Qing immediately shook her head. As though to support her opinion, Dong Qing said, If he really was lustful, according to the data I have, he had contacted with Yun Bing and his fiancée Ning Qingxue. Both of them are way prettier than me. How can he want me? Qing nodded. You're right. Yemo isn't someone we can offend, but is our upper leader someone we can offend? If we run, it's still death and a very gruesome death. Dong Qing sighed. If I were to choose, I would rather offend our superior and suicide. That Yemo is too scary. I investigated him. Nanqing, Metal River. Although these 2 organizations aren't destroyed by him, they're both declining due to him. I suspect even the Song family's downfall was due to him. Recently, the amphibian gang was exterminated. I suspect it to be connected to him as well, because we got the blood coral at the Sharp Sea corner. What about Chow family? Is it also him? Ching Ching immediately asked. Dong Ching remained silent for a while before saying, I originally thought it was him, but after I got the new mission, I thought about it carefully. He probably didn't rob the blood coral. It might quite possibly be the Cha family. That's why I was desperate to go. I had the premonition that if I stayed with them, my life won't be mine. Cha family? How can that be? When they collaborated with us, they never said they wanted the blood coral. Didn't they just say to kill Yemo? Ching Ching asked in surprise. Dong Ching shook her head and said, I don't know. If our hirer to kill Qiao Gang is the Cha family, then everything can be explained. But our hirer is the Yun family, and then in the end the Cha family asked for cooperation to kill Yemo. I don't understand them. This time I didn't listen to the superior's order to stay at the Cha family and ran away. I'm probably already being suspected by the authority, because I suspect the authorities cooperated with Cha family on the blood coral. They wanted to lure Yemo, and I was just the bait. I don't know what's behind this, but I know if I went to the Cha family, I wouldn't be alive. Perhaps the authority already knew I had been marked by Yemo, and that's why they wanted me to go to the Cha family. So, even if I know where the blood coral is, I wouldn't take this mission. Although I still don't understand a lot of things. I'm sure that regardless if Yemo is connected to the blood coral, if I go, I'm dead for sure. Hearing about this, Yemo rejoiced. This Dong Ching knew where the blood coral was indeed. However, what he didn't expect was that it was the Yun family who hired the assassins to kill Qiao Gang, and the Earth Fiend was targeting him because he killed one of their assassins. However, why did the Cha family want to attack him? Before the race, he had no enmity with the Cha family. This Dong Ching's sixth sense was so strong. Yemo guessed that the Earth Fiend might really know that he marked Dong Ching, and so was prepared to sacrifice her just to kill him. Other than him killing Earth Fiend assassins, there must be another reason. Otherwise, Earth Fiend wouldn't let their people be sacrificial pawns. Sai, you should keep tracking Yemo. As long as you follow him, you don't need to do anything. Cheng Ching sighed. After long, Cheng Ching sighed. What are you going to do then? If Yemo is really that strong, are you going to leave the organization? That is a very tragic path to death. Dying by yourself is better having your entire family die. Yemo always kill entire families. He's too cruel. I'd rather die in a secret place myself than let him find my family and kill them as well. Dong Ching said helplessly. Cheng Ching sneered, however. Dong Ching, I've been at Earth Fiend longer than you. I know a lot of things you don't. I don't know if Yemo kills entire families, but I'm sure if you betray Earth Fiend, you will have your entire family killed as well. Those people are a bunch of maniacs. They are unreasonable. 5 years ago, when I just got to Earth Fiend, a Chenbei of mine, he was a human-level purple killer. He was only one step away from Earth-level killer, but because he was trapped by his mission and went back a few days later, his entire family was killed. Our superior will really kill entire families. You just don't know. Huh. Dong Ching never heard that her organization would kill entire families. This was too horrifying. She only guessed Yemo killed entire families, but thinking about this, she worried her decision. Yemo knew there was no point in eavesdropping anymore, so he walked out and said plainly, If you work with me, not only will I not let Earth Fiend kill your family, I will even save you. Huh. Both Dong Ching and Cheng Ching shot up. Yemo appeared too suddenly, and they weren't prepared at all. Still, they reacted fast and put their hands at the waists at the same time. Obviously, they had their weapons at their waists. It's you? Yemo, how did you come over? Dong Ching immediately recognized who walked in. She slumped the hand at her waist. She knew that her killing blow was completely useless to Yemo, hearing Dong Ching's words. Cheng Ching was astonished. He finally understood the terror of Yemo. This was deep in the sea, and he didn't see any ship come near. He even let Fu Bo on guard, but a live person just suddenly appeared in the ship and his clothes were dry. It was as though he just appeared from next door. Even the most powerful Earth Fiend killer didn't have such power. No wonder Dong Qing would fear Yi Mo so much. He did have reasons for people to fear him. Yi Mo sat down and poured a cup of tea for himself before saying slowly, "Dong Qing, now isn't the time for you to ask me how I got here. I have my ways. You wanted to kill me with the tricks you planted under the car. If I want to kill you now, it wouldn't even bother me at all, and I have 100 reasons to kill you. I haven't killed you yet, because I want to see if you know what's good for you. If you seek death, then I have no choice." Dong Qing let out a long exhale as though putting everything down. The worry on her face disappeared. Sometimes people are like this. They keep worrying before things happen, but once it really did happen, they would feel it's no use worrying. Might as well face it. "Yi Qianbei, I know you're very strong. You can kill us like ants. Earth Fiend isn't an organization that we can betray easily. To be honest, I have no good feeling towards Earth Fiend at all. We were forcibly taken into training, only because we have nowhere to go. We want to achieve higher in Earth Fiend. Now that I offended you, you can kill me, but I just don't want you to attack my family." Dong Qing seemed to realize there was death either way. Yi Mo smiled plainly and grabbed Dong Qing's wrist. He quickly sliced a wound on it, and before Dong Qing could react, Yi Mo let go of her hand. He pinched a small red goo in his hand. "Is this the reason why you don't dare to betray Earth Fiend? I've taken it from your body. You can talk now." Dong Qing had her eyes wide open in shock and said horrifyingly after a while, How do you know that there's a control goo in my body? How could you force it out? You dare to hold it with your hand. Aren't you afraid it will go in your body?" Yi Mo sneered. "This little bug can be called goo? Don't make me laugh." Yi Mo sneered. "This sort of bug can be called goo? Don't make me laugh." Yi Mo sneered. "This sort of bug can be called goo? Don't make me laugh." He thought about the bug monk who reigned dominance in the cultivation realm for a time. He had all sorts of bugs on him. Each goo he raised was 1 to 2 meters long, and the largest one was more than 10 meters. This small thing wasn't even a fly in the cultivation realm. Ching Qing, also amazed at the goo in Yimo's hand. This was the first time he saw it out of the body. He knew that everyone who joined Earth Fiend must accept a goo from the Earth Fiend Goo King. If you leave or betray, this goo will be triggered and the goo bug will devour the heart of that person. It was helpless. He also heard the older generation say that if you had the Earth Fiend goo planted in you, you belonged to Earth Fiend for the rest of your life. Other than the Goo King, no one else could take the goo from the body. But now he saw Yi Mo take the goo out of Dong Qing's body in 2 seconds and held it between his fingers, not fearing of it getting inside his body. Yi Mo was this strong. Ching Qing, who was planning to attack Yi Mo, lost the intention to do so completely. He felt he had no chance on this youth at all. Although his sixth sense wasn't as strong as Dong Qing's, he could feel that if he attacked, he would be killed immediately. Yi Mo felt something wasn't right. Although this goo was like a fly to him, there was a dense life force coming from it, and Dong Qing seemed quite withered after he took the goo out. Her face even seemed a little waxy. What was this? "Qianbei, Yi Qianbei, you can remove the goo from my body?" Cheng Qing immediately realized this was a rare opportunity after his initial shock. He also had goo in his body. If it was taken out, then wouldn't he be able to go anywhere he liked? He didn't have a family that the Earth Fiend could exact revenge on. Yi Mo knew his intentions, of course, and looked at him plainly. "I can take it out of your body, but you need to answer my questions truthfully. If you hide anything, I can still search your soul." The last bit was a lie. He wasn't in Foundation establishment yet. If he wanted to search soul, he could only control Ching Qing's mind and make him say it himself. However, The bad thing was that the information would be very incomplete. I'm willing. As long as Qianbei helped me remove the goo, I'm willing to answer any questions. Ching Ching didn't have any hesitations at all. Okay. Yi Mo reached out his hand and sliced on Ching Ching's arm, although he took a little longer, but it was less than 5 seconds, and a yellow goo bug appeared on Ching Ching's arm. Yi Mo held the bug and found there was more life force on it, and Ching Ching was more withered than Dong Ching. He was so weak that he almost fell to the ground. The color was different, and the amount of essence blood was also different. Was this related? Yi Mo squeezed, and the red goo was crushed. A faint yellow flame rose from the tip of his finger and burnt that goo to crisp. However, he didn't crush the yellow bug and still had it on his finger. Dong Qing and Ching Ching were shocked. They had seen many powerful people in the organization, some of them even having special abilities, but they had never seen someone as strong as Yi Mo. Yi Mo didn't say anything. He felt this goo was eerie. What was this? Do you know why the colors in your goos are different? Yi Mo felt it was similar to the body-devouring goo in the cultivation realm, but it also seemed a little different. He wasn't sure, so he asked. Ching Ching and Dong Qing glanced at each other and shook their heads. I don't know, but the goo you took out is about the same color as our status. I'm still a human red killer, while Cheng Qing is a human yellow killer. The color of the goo matches our level. There's so many levels to a human level killer? Yi Mo murmured to himself, but he still didn't understand. Then he asked, Since you can't even see what colors your goos are, how do you rank up? Ching Ching said, Each person who enters Earth Fiend will have a goo planted by the Goo King. Usually those who just got in have red color, then orange. Now I just rose to yellow. The highest level of human level is purple. We have people who test us. If we pass, we will be given this badge. Then, Cheng Qing took out a yellow badge. It had 2 sharp daggers, and there was a head on it. It seemed quite eerie. Then, Cheng Qing continued, The Earth-level killers also have 7 colors, but their badge doesn't have the human head. It's Earth instead. Yi Mo took the badge and studied it for a while, but didn't find anything. It seemed like a normal badge. Seeing the EMO was studying the badge, Dong Qing also took out her badge and gave it to EMO. Other than the color difference, everything else was the same. EMO held the badge and asked, That is the heaven-level badge, a piece of the sky with 2 daggers. Ching Ching shook his head, that I don't know. I've never seen a heaven-level badge. I have a bro called Yuan Peng. He's Earth-level killer. He failed a mission before the ascension to heaven level. But I heard that once you're reached heaven level, you'll have your goo bug taken out and become an elder of the Earth Fiend. You can also choose to leave Earth Fiend and live your own life, so everyone wants to hurry up and become a heaven-level killer. Yi Mo immediately asked, Are there people who become heaven-level killer? Cheng Qing nodded and said, Almost every year, there are people who become heaven-level killer. And after they became heaven-level, they pretty much all chose to leave Earth Fiend. If I reach heaven level, I will also quit. Yi Mo had understood everything by now. He sneered, Change a life? What a joke. I originally didn't know what's up with the goo, but now I know something, and I've seen these sort of things too much. This goo looks like a body-devouring goo I've seen before. Of course, these goos are countless times worse than those. Body-devouring goo. Dong Qing repeated, and her face went pale. She had a body-devouring goo inside her body. Just the name was disgusting enough. Yi Mo still sneered. That's right. It's similar to the body-devouring goo. It's a parasite in the host and devours the essence, blood of the host. It can also devour life force. So once the host kills someone, the victim will have their life force devoured by the body-devouring goo. Then, it will use the host's blood essence to nourish itself. So the more you kill, the more lively it is. Qianbei, so you mean that we're using our own blood essence to feed the body-devouring goo? After we kill people, the life force of the dead is also eaten by the goo? Ching Ching's face went pale. He couldn't accept such thing. Indeed, Yemo nodded and continued, the person who planted the goo in you has nefarious intentions. One is to stop you from betrayal, of course, but the main reason is for the goo to get more essence, blood, and life force. The more focused you are when killing, the better it is for the goo. Yemo looked at the two who were pale and said, this goo only just started in your body, and you guys are already so withered when I took it out. And this goo is still struggling in my hands, wanting to eat more of your essence, blood. It can be seen. The leaving Earth fiend once you reach heaven level is a lie. If I'm not wrong, then the heaven level killers have ripe body devouring goo. Once it is taken out, the host will immediately become extremely weak. Then the goo would immediately devour the host, eating their life force and essence blood clean. Dong Qing and Chung Qing's faces were pale. After a long, Dong Qing said shakily, why are they doing this? Each heaven-level killer is a genius among killers. Why are they killing their own men? Although they already believed what Yi Mo said to be as true, this was too absurd. Yi Mo sneered, that's because the goo is ripe and the goo farmer can harvest. The person who planted the goo in you is using the life force and blood essence of the ripe body devouring goo to cultivate some sort of thing. This guy is strong indeed. Yi Mo had to approve of this goo farmer's calculations and plan. This was pretty much farming a bunch of pills that can cultivate. When he needed them, he could take them. Although these goos are far from the body-devouring goos, but their properties were pretty much the same. Being able to find such a goo and someone who could control them so well on Earth was quite astounding. So that's how it is. Chung Ching gasped a long breath. Obviously, he already believed Yimo's words. Chung Ching, do you know something? Dong Qing immediately asked. Chung Ching's face looked black and said, I finally understand why Yuan Peng brother died. The last time he went to do a mission, he was already an Earth purple level killer, and that mission wasn't very hard, but he wasn't able to finish it. Now I know he must have been harvested by the Goo King. Yi Mo frowned but didn't say anything. If this was the truth, then that goo farmer must not be underestimated. Earth Fiend had been around for so many years. This guy had devoured countless blood essences and life forces. Next time when he went to annihilate the Earth Fiend, he needed to be careful of this guy. Yi Mo frowned but didn't say anything. If this was the truth, then that goo farmer must not be underestimated. Earth Fiend had been around for so many years. This guy had devoured countless blood essences and life forces. Next time when he went to annihilate the Earth Fiend, he needed to be careful of this guy. But now, he didn't have the mood to care about that. Thinking about this, he waved his hand and said, Let's put that aside now. Tell me where the blood coral is first. Dong Qing came back to her sense and hearing Yimo's question. She quickly replied, After I left the race, I thought of running as far as possible because I didn't dare to betray the organization. So I contacted them and they gave me a new mission. That is for me to return to the Cha family immediately. At that time, I guessed that the blood coral might quite possibly be at the Cha family. Just when I was hesitating, Chung Ching came and found me. Chung Ching quickly nodded and said, The Upper sent me to help with Dong Qing, but I knew it was surveillance. Because when Dong Qing left Huzhong, she didn't report and made up a story afterwards. The Uppers probably don't know that I knew Dong Qing. When I was young, I was raised by Dong Qing's parents for a while. Later, we realized we were in the same killer organization, so we pretended we didn't know each other well. The organization does not allow us to contact each other, much less have a good connection. Yi Mo nodded. Dong Qing's subconscious actions were right. Her sixth sense was very accurate. It seemed that the Earth Fiend did intend for her to be a sacrificial pawn, sending her to the Cha family. The intention was to lure him to the Cha family. The other reason was probably to prevent Dong Qing from falling in his hands first and leaking information about the Earth Fiend. What Yemo was confused was that how did the Earth Fiend people know he marked Dong Qing? And how did they know he would follow her? Were they just guessing? Yemo looked at Dong Qing and said, "Not bad. You can guess your uppers are using you as a sacrificial pawn. Then let me ask again. Has the Cha family seen Qing Qing? Do they know him?" Qing Qing answered, "They don't know me for sure. I've never been to the Cha family. Most of my missions are in the Macau and Hong Kong region." Yemo nodded and said, "That's good. And where is your HQ?" The mainland, Hong Kong, and Macau killers gather annually at the Hong Kong Poo Temple. As for other countries, I don't know, but I know that other than the HQ at Hong Kong, there are at least 3 other HQs. I just don't know the exact locations. Cheng Qing replied immediately. Hong Kong Poo Temple? Yemo went there last time and annihilated the Detang there too. He didn't expect the Earth Fiend to be at such a chaotic place. Okay, in that case, Qing Qing, you leave first. Tomorrow, I will go with you and Dong Qing to the Cha family. Yemo immediately took out a plan of action. This was the best way because he can get the blood coral simple and easy. You want to pretend to be Earth Fiend. Qing Qing looked at Yemo in shock. After half a beat, he continued, "There are many strong people in Earth Fiend. If they really want Dong Qing to be a sacrificial pawn, there will definitely be stronger people there. Are you really going to go?" "Sacrificial pawn?" Yemo sneered. "I'll show them who is the real sacrificial pawn." "Yi Qianbei, can I ask you why you killed the gu from Dong Qing, but still have my one on your hand? I feel not safe." Qing Qing stared at the yellow bug. As long as this bug wasn't dead, he wouldn't feel safe. Yemo didn't answer. He knew it wasn't easy to grow these gus. Other than what he told the 2, the body-devouring gu also had another special property. That was once the host died, it could fly back to the gu farmer and kept being used again. And the essence blood wouldn't disappear. The reason Yemo kept this was to make a spirit sense mark on it and let the gu fly back to keep a lead. In case in the future he couldn't find the gu king. He had made up his mind. Once he got the blood coral, he would find a place with good spirit chi and break through. The first thing he would do after that was to go find trouble with the Earth Fiend. Of course, he wouldn't tell this to Qing Qing. If he was captured by the Earth Fiend again, then his plan would be spoiled. Dong Qing really wanted to ask if Yemo marked her body, but seeing that Yemo didn't answer Qing Qing's question, she didn't dare to ask. Yemo turned to Dong Qing and said, "Dong Qing, if you are willing to take me to Cha family, I can pretend your attacks on me never happened. I will also teach you ancient martial arts, letting you have the power to protect yourself." "I agree." Almost immediately, Dong Qing agreed. First, there was nothing she could do in Yemo's hands. Secondly, she knew about ancient martial arts. Those who could reach Earth level were all ancient martial artists. She knew the cultivation method for it was very valuable. If she didn't accept it, she would be an idiot. Qing Qing looked at Dong Qing in envy, but he knew he couldn't replace Dong Qing and go with Yemo. Dong Qing saw Qing Qing's envy and asked Yemo, "Qianbei, if I get this, can I teach it to Qing Qing?" "Of course." Yemo agreed without hesitation. That wasn't even a problem to him. He got these from killing anyways. It was very precious to Dong Qing and her friend, but it was trash in his eyes. Seeing Dong Qing agree, Yemo immediately said, "I'll be waiting for you in the airport tomorrow." As for Qing Qing, I suggest you throw away everything Earth Fiend gave you. Shave your hair as well. I think you know this. Dong Qing was a woman, so Yemo didn't search her body, but he searched Qing Qing's body. Other than the gu, there were no other marks. From this, it could be seen that there shouldn't be other marks on Dong Qing as well. So he only needed to remind Qing Qing. Then Yemo walked out of the boat and disappeared into the sea. Dong Qing and Ching were completely shocked. They stared at the endless night sky and the dark ocean water. So strong. After Yemo was a long way away, Ching said with fright, "No wonder you say he's a scary person. This isn't just scary. This is terrifying. I've never seen someone so strong. He's out of this world." Sigh. Dongqing also felt relieved. My sixth sense is right indeed. He isn't someone we can mess with. If I listened to the organization, I would have probably been a body tomorrow, and we would never know we were fed as food for bugs. Compared to Yemo, our organization is scarier. Changqing nodded and said, "There's actually such a gruesome cultivation method. That Gu King really is an animal. But he messed with Yemo. He would have his days of regret. Dongqing, your sixth sense is also very scary." Dongqing remained silent and didn't say anything. After a while, she said, "I believe what he said is true, but don't worry. When I get the ancient martial arts cultivation method, I'll also make a copy for you. And you should leave Senya immediately. Bring my sister and her husband into Jing City and wait for me there. Once things here are done, we will go to Jing City. I have a feeling that Yemo wouldn't let Earth Fiend go. Since the Earth Fiend messed with him, it's their bad luck. As long as we stay hidden in Jing City until the Earth Fiend is gone, then we can live a proper life." Ching nodded and said, "Okay, but after I bring your sister and her husband away, I need to leave Jing City. I have a few friends in Earth Fiend. I want to tell them if they see Yemo, they should beg for mercy. Your goo bug is now gone. You must not go to Hong Kong." Dongqing immediately said. Ching replied solemnly, "I know you should also be careful when you go with Yi Qianbei to the Cha family." When Yemo got to Sanya Airport, Dongqing had been waiting him for a long time. Seeing Yemo come over, she quickly greeted him and gave him a plane ticket. If they wanted to go to the Cha family, they had to plane to Luotsang first, and then catch train to Liangpu City. Yemo was originally planning to rob it himself, but he was afraid the blood coral wasn't there. Now that he went with Dongqing, perhaps he could get it straight away and then start a carnage. Even if the thing wasn't there, they would tell Dongqing where it is. They wanted to ambush him, then don't blame him for what's about to come. Now, Yemo had a new view of Earth Fiend. Originally, it was just a mere hitman organization. Even if it was international, he wouldn't care. He only needed to wear a defense artifact, and he could prevent all sorts of assassinations, but now it was different with a goo cultivator. What if this guy exceeded Earth level? Plus, even if this guy was still Earth level, what threatened people in the cultivation realm the most was goo keepers. The bug monk at the time, no one dared to mess with him. When he was in golden pill state, he was already invincible in the same state. There was no other reason. His bugs were too many. And Yemo suspected that the Goo King also wanted the blood coral. He was already strong with the goo. If he got the blood coral, then even Yemo was a bit worried. Liangpu City was originally just a small city, but it had been developing rapidly in the past decade. It had already become a medium-sized city and still had room for improvement. Liangpu City was originally just a small city, but it had been developing rapidly in the past decade. It had already become a medium-sized city and still had room for improvement. Although a lot of ancient martial artists knew about the Jiang Nancha family, even some people from the hidden sects knew about them. They weren't famous in Liangpu. The only famous thing was those old houses of the Cha family. The only reason many people knew about the Cha family was due to those old houses. The houses weren't worth much when the city was just a small city, but when Liangpu became a medium-sized city and had rails connected to Luotsang, the housing prices rose rapidly. It's said that the Cha family houses were worth countless times more. And the houses were at the Golden Place in Liangpu, so they were worth more. Due to the rise in Liangpu land and the Cha family houses were at Optimum Place, it attracted a lot of land developers. There were a lot of developers who wanted this land, but the only one who had the capability was the Honghua Corporation. There was no land the Honghua Corporation couldn't get. So when the Honghua Corporation was checking out the Cha family houses, many people were waiting for the Cha family to move. But what everyone didn't expect was that when this was just brought up, the Honghua Corporation canceled the plan in half a month. There was no other reason but all of the authorities of the corporation disappearing in one night. Even most of their families disappeared. This created a huge uproar, and after government investigation, it was because the Honghua Corporation had been tax avoiding and corrupt that they feared apprehension and left the country in one night with their wealth. Whether this is true or not, no one dared to make a move on the Cha family houses again. When Dongqing and Yi Mo arrived at the Cha family, they received a warm greeting by the leader of the family, Cha Rulong, at least superficially. When Yi Mo first stepped foot in the building, he felt a strong yin qi, or perhaps earth yin fin qi was more accurate. It wasn't a good idea to live in houses with such a strong, aggressive qi. But what made Yi Mo more bewildered was that although the Cha family was big, he didn't see much family members there. There were only a few servants, and most of them looked emaciated and tawny. They were obviously affected by the fiend qi here. It seemed the Cha family didn't live here, and the houses were only a place that the Cha family cultivated. To be exact, the Cha family didn't want to leave the fiend qi behind. It seemed that the Cha family's ancient martial arts cultivation was related to Earth Fiend. They obviously weren't good people. The backyard of the houses was barricaded, and foreigners were not allowed in. But Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense and knew that there were no people there other than some ancient martial arts cultivators. Mrs. Dong, last time, you left without saying goodbye. I really didn't know who you were. I apologize for that now. Cha Rulong said with a face of guilt, but his guilt was gone immediately. Then he turned to Yi Mo and said, You must be Mr. Ching Ching. Please come inside. Then Cha Rulong's smile grew more hospitable. Cha Rulong looked like he was in 50s. His face was white without a beard. He was at yellow level middle stage and seemed to have a solid foundation. Yi Mo looked at Cha Rulong's expression. Although it immediately returned to a hospitable smile, he still saw the shock when Cha Rulong saw him. Although he changed his face slightly, it wasn't something special. Yi Mo was sure that Cha Rulong wouldn't be able to tell. Since Cha Rulong shouldn't be able to tell that he was masqueraded, but was still shocked when he saw him. The only explanation was that Cha Rulong recognized he wasn't Ching Ching. Or it meant that he had seen Ching Ching before or his picture. Yi Mo didn't expect the Earth Fiend to be so meticulous. They even sent Ching Ching's picture over to Cha Rulong. The only explanation for this was that either the killer was being abandoned by the organization or the hirer was very intimate with the hitman organization. It seemed that Cheng Qing and Dong Qing's relationship was already known by their organization. Pity these two thought the organization didn't know their relationship. Indeed, I'm Ching Qing. Even though Cha Rulong recognized he wasn't Cheng Qing, he might as well play along with the act. Cha Rulong had a face full of smile. I'm Cha Rulong. It's an honor that you two can come to our Cha family. As Cha Rulong spoke, he already led Yi Mo and Dong Qing into the guest quarters. As soon as Yi Mo came in, he scanned the whole place with his spirit sense. When he and Dong Qing first came in, there was 2 people at the door. Inside, there were 3 people. Other than Cha Rulong, there were 2 normal martial artists. Yi Mo noticed them. They weren't killers. But when Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense underground, he immediately understood what was going on. The ground was hollow. There were 2 people each hiding under the left and right guest chairs. Yi Mo noticed that they weren't ordinary killers. They were probably Earth rank killers. TL note, the Earth rank for killers does not mean they have Earth level power. It's just a status within the Hitman organization. Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense out and soon found another Earth level killer hidden at the roof. There was also another killer underground. This wasn't the first time Yemo was in this situation. This was far from being able to threaten him. They actually sent out so many killers to him. This earth fiend really didn't underestimate him. Did they already know he was acting as Changqing? That was impossible. Even Cha Rulong only realized he wasn't Changqing when Cha Rulong saw him. The only explanation was that they were sure he would follow Dongqing here to rob the blood coral. These hitmen would attack when he attacked. Now that Cha Rulong saw he wasn't Changqing, he only needed to think a little and would know he was Yemo. Even though he changed his face, Yemo was sure he would be recognized, as they probably had seen his picture. But since the Cha family found out, perhaps they would attack immediately. Yemo stopped in the guest quarters and didn't sit down. If he sat down, the hitman would attack immediately and he wouldn't see the blood coral. Yemo didn't understand why the Earth Fiend would use so much power to kill him when he just killed 2 of their hitmen. But if they think a mere few assassins could kill him, they underestimate him too much. Dongqing was rather vigilant. Seeing Yemo not sitting down, she also stayed by Yemo's side and didn't walk forward. "Please have a seat, you two." Seeing the two didn't sit down, Cha Rulong invited once again. Yemo smiled. "Mr. Cha, we're here to help. Although the blood coral is very important for the Cha family, it's also very important to us. Is the blood coral still here?" Yemo knew he shouldn't be saying this, but since they already knew who he was, there's no point for him to hide. It was important to see the blood coral first. As soon as Yemo said this, Dongqing immediately understood. Yemo's words obviously made them doubt. Their status didn't have the right to ask about the blood coral, but Yemo asked about it. With Yemo's cunning, he wouldn't make such a mistake. The only reason was that Yemo knew their identities were exposed. Although Dongqing didn't know how, she was on the same string as Yemo, so she immediately said, "That's right. We have been contacted by our uppers to protect the blood coral, so we need to confirm if the blood coral is still here." Yemo nodded to himself. This Dongqing was really smart, knowing what he meant. Now that they said this, they might actually be able to see the blood coral. "Okay, please have a seat. I'll get people to bring the blood coral for your examination immediately." Cha Rulong then said to the person behind him, "Bring the blood coral here immediately." They didn't seem to worry at all of being known as the culprit behind the Chow family massacre. Nor did they doubt, "Yemo, please have a seat, you too." Cha Rulong said to Yemo and Dongqing once again. Yemo smiled and just sat down to the chair next to him. Cha Rulong saw Yemo's actions and rejoiced, but Yemo didn't seem to see it at all. The moment he sat down, his flying sword already pierced into the ground along the foot of the chair. Before the killer could move, Yemo's flying sword severed his head. The goo bug inside his body didn't even get a chance to escape. Then Yemo controlled his flying sword and killed the hitman underneath Dongqing. Just when Yemo and Dongqing sat down, these 2 killers were already killed. Even so, Yemo's flying sword didn't stop. He continued to control the flying sword and killed the killer at the door rapidly, and then rose up into the roof and killed another hitman there. For killers were killed in such a short time by Yemo, Yemo sneered. In the wake of absolute power, all ambushes are useless. But when Yemo took back his flying sword, his face was a little pale. After all, he killed 4 in a row, very rapidly. It was tough on his chi controlling the flying sword. But this also made Yemo alert. Although he was a cultivator and had the natural advantage, faced against large sums of people, he would be in danger if he used up his chi. But this also made Yemo alert. Although he was a cultivator and had the natural advantage, faced against large sums of people, he would be in danger if he used up his chi. Yemo also knew that his spirit chi would be consumed a lot due to the positions of the 4 killers. If they were just in front of him, he wouldn't use so much spirit chi. But that was no excuse. Cha Rulong saw Yemo and Dongqing sit down and was overjoyed. He laughed. "Come help them pour tea." In the agreed code, if Cha Rulong said these 4 words, the killers would attack and he would help them from the side, but after he said the code word, there was nothing. At that moment, Cha Rulong's face sunk. What was this? Was he really from Earth Fiend? That's not right. The person impersonating as Chung Ching looked really like Yemo. Of course, Yemo knew what Cha Rulong was thinking about, but his spirit sense stayed on the guy going to get the blood coral. After he went into the backyard, he kept walking and disappeared out of spirit sense range. Cha Rulong was uneasy, and seeing Yemo look at him, he was more worried. Just when Yemo thought the blood coral was no longer at the Cha family and was taken away by the Earth Fiend people, that man who went to get the blood coral appeared. He was followed by 2 ancient martial artists next to him. The strongest was black level middle stage. Yemo saw that man carry a big jade box and immediately rejoiced in his heart. He didn't expect the blood coral to be really at the Cha family. Good thing he came in time and didn't try to rob immediately. If he did, he would frighten them and perhaps it would be transferred away. Soon, the 3 people had arrived at the guest lounge. Yemo didn't wait for the man to give it to Cha Rulong and just took in. Yemo opened the jade box, and it was a blood-red coral indeed. It was preserved quite well. He finally felt relieved, although it wasn't very smooth, but it still landed in his hands. Seeing the blood coral somehow really land in Yemo's hands, Cha Rulong's face was worse. He even suspected that the Earth Fiend was involved. Then, Yemo packed the blood coral away. He wouldn't take it out again. Where did you put the blood coral? Cha Rulong dazed for a moment and realized that big jade box was gone. There was no way you can put away such a big box without being seen. Cha Rulong immediately began to worry. Yemo said plainly, I came to get the blood coral. Since you've already given it to me, it means that you did well. I'm going see ya. Then he got up and was going to walk outside. Dong Qing quickly followed. Stop! Cha Rulong was desperate and yelled. Yemo looked coldly at Cha Rulong. Mr. Cha, what is it? Although you sent people to assassinate me, but I'll let you go on account of the blood coral. If you are still going against me, then don't blame me for helping Xiao Gang get his revenge. You know. Cha Rulong finally realized that from the start to the beginning, Yemo already knew he recognized him. The Earth Fiend people still didn't attack. Cha Rulong suspected he was tricked. Thinking about this, Cha Rulong pressed a bell hidden in the table. It was a mere few minutes, and Yemo's spirit sense scanned those scouts, all rushed into the guest lounge. Soon, Yemo and Dong Qing were surrounded by more than 20 people. 5 of them were actually yellow level and 2 were black level. In a modern city, this power was enough to wipe everything. Dong Qing was originally wondering where Yemo put that big blood coral away, but seeing that so many masters had surrounded them, her face went pale. She was dumb. She was no match for any one of them, even when it was an ambush. Much less there were more than 20 here. Bring out the blood coral, and I can let you go. Cha Rulong was already suspecting if the Earth Fiend betrayed them. The 4 killers still hadn't moved, but they all had their faces covered, and he didn't know any of them. Although he was certain he could kill Yemo, but he didn't know where Yemo put the blood coral away. Before he saw the blood coral, he wouldn't attack. Yemo looked at Cha Rulong and said, I'm curious. Why did the Gu King of Earth Fiend leave the blood coral with you, and even send people to help you? Oh, you don't need to wait for those 4 killers. I've already killed them. When did you kill them? Cha Rulong asked subconsciously. Yemo sneered but didn't reply. Cha Rulong finally realized that he guessed wrong. Earth Fiend didn't conspire with Yemo. Yemo just killed the 4 killers. Show me the blood coral or put it on the table, and I will tell you why. Cha Rulong's face was very bad. Then he had a cruel look on it. If you don't tell me, even if you can escape from our Cha family, but I will kill all of your family. If we can kill the Qiao family, we can annihilate your Yi family, and there is Ning Qingxua, right? I will make sure She dies very happy. Yi Mo's eyes went cold. He wasn't planning to kill them all, but Cha Rulong successfully challenged his bottom line. Looking at Yi Mo's cold eyes, Cha Rulong felt his body shake as though he did something stupid. Yi Mo said coldly, "Mr. Cha, you've successfully pissed me off. Very well. I will slaughter you Cha family clean today." What a joke. That black-level martial artist who guarded the blood coral scanned at Yi Mo and then said to Cha Rulong, "Leader, no matter where he hid the blood coral, it can't be outside this room. As long as we kill him, we can find it. Why bother talking to him?" Then he stared at Yi Mo, not hiding the killing intent in his eyes at all. Cha Rulong's eyes flashed. He thought that person was right. No matter how strong Yi Mo was, they only needed to kill him today. He nodded and said, "Go at once and kill him." "I don't believe this blood coral can be outside this house." The people heard Cha Rulong's words and charged together. They were all cultivating related Yin Fin Chi. Before they even got close, there was a bleak, windy feeling. Dong Qing was invaded by this Qi and shivering. She couldn't even stand properly. But Dong Qing immediately found that their attacks couldn't seem to reach her body as though it was blocked by something. Yi Mo took out the long sword he took from Bien Pa. Swiping around, blood splashed. It was only a few minutes, and those 21 people attacking Yi Mo only had that black-level warrior remaining. However, one of his arms was cut off. At this moment, he was frozen. He had never expected a black-level master like himself with so many other people would almost be completely wiped out in only a few minutes while attacking a young man who had no inner chi flow. Cha Rulong looked at the room full of bloodied bodies, and his face was white as paper. He knew Yi Mo was strong, but didn't expect him to be so strong to this extent. What sort of being did he get as an enemy for the Cha family? He thought his Cha family wasn't something that the Song family could compare, but in fact he was wrong. He regretted now, but there was no regret in the world. "What power level are you? Are you Earth level, Master?" That black level martial artist had fear flash across his eyes as he asked in trepidation. Cha Rulong and him both didn't realize how the long sword appeared in Yi Mo's hands. When Yi Mo packed it away, they both realized it just vanished into thin air. Dong Qing was dazed until now. Seeing the bodies and blood everywhere, she could no longer hold the fear in her heart and ran to the side vomiting. She also killed people, but it was assassination. When had she ever seen such a bloody carnage? Yi Mo didn't bother with Dong Qing and looked coldly at Cha Rulong. "Answer my 2 questions. First, why is your family assassinating me? Second, why would the Earth Fiend keep the blood coral at your family? If you don't tell me, I will find the rest of the Cha family and kill them all." After being dazed for a long time, Cha Rulong suddenly laughed. "Go kill them. I'll wait for you to kill the rest of them. Go, ha ha ha." He went mad. Yi Mo punched Cha Rulong in the forehead and then turned around and killed the black level warrior with a wind blade and then continued to ask the 2 questions. Cha Rulong's expression was dazed, but he quickly answered Yi Mo's questions. "Oh, Feng wants to kill you. He took the Song family's treasure, Jade Woman plate, and came to our family. One of his conditions was to kill Yi Mo. The second was for us to introduce him to a hidden sect. I introduced him to Earth Fiend and gave the Jade Woman plate to Earth Fiend. My purpose is to get the blood coral." Yi Mo asked again, "Since your Cha family got the blood coral and O Feng gave you the Jade Woman plate, why are you using it to trade with the Earth Fiend for the blood coral?" "Because the Yun family is very dumb. They asked the Earth Fiend to attack Qiaogang and let the Earth Fiend know about the blood coral. The Earth Fiend promised not to leak the blood coral news to the hidden sects and promised not to rob it. The payment is the Jade Woman plate." Cha Rulong replied dumbly. So that was it. Yi Mo immediately understood. As long as the hidden sects didn't attack, then no one can take the blood coral from them. If the Cha family didn't sacrifice the Jade Woman plate, they wouldn't be able to protect the blood coral at all. Where are you Cha family people hiding? Although Yi Mo wasn't really going to kill them all, he still needed to know where they were. Cha Rulong answered, "Our Cha family doesn't have female members because we're positioned at the Infin place. Our martial arts can only be cultivated by male. Once we have an offspring, the mother would be invaded by the Infin Chi and unable to survive." Yi Mo was speechless. This Cha family was this sort of a Fmiley. Wait, Yi Mo suddenly thought of a key problem. He should be in danger now. Looking at Dong Qing, who was still vomiting, Yi Mo casually killed Cha Rulong with a wind blade and dumped him with the rest of the Cha family people. Then he threw out tens of fireballs and burnt the entire house to dust. Looking at Dong Qing, who was still vomiting, Yi Mo casually killed Cha Rulong with a wind blade and dumped him with the rest of the Cha family people. Then he threw out tens of fireballs and burnt the entire house to dust. Hi. Dong Qing happened to turn around now and saw the fireball Yi Mo made. She was truly shocked. This was out of her comprehension. Who was he? Dong Qing looked dumbly at Yi Mo. She finally believed that there were unimaginable masters in this world. Yi Mo looked at the dazed Dong Qing and took out an ancient martial arts booklet and a porcelain vase and gave them to Dong Qing. This is taken from a black level peak stage master, and these pills are to assist in cultivation. These are now yours for showing me the way. Without these pills, you might not get anywhere even in decades considering your age. But with these pills, that will be different. These medical pills are far from real pills, but they can let you reach black stage within 5 years. And one thing is, we're both really in danger now. I believe you have realized that as a hitman, it's best if you leave as soon as possible. Then Yi Mo thought and gave 2 fireball charms to Dong Qing. These are 2 charms. They can save your life. In time of danger, just throw them at the enemy and say Lin. As for other things, I won't help you. Go now. It's all up to you if you can escape from Earth Fiend. I think your organization is already starting to suspect you. You should know in your heart too. I think your organization already know about your relationship with Cheng Qing. Dong Qing finally reacted and bowed to Yi Mo. Thank you, Yi brother, for saving my life. If I don't die, I will pay you back. Yi Mo waved his hand. No need for that. Plus, it's not even certain if you can escape from Earth Fiend. They will hunt us fully soon. It's completely your fate if you can run away. Hurry up and go now. I still have some businesses. Dong Qing bowed again and quickly left Cha family and disappeared. Seeing her disappear, he knew that since Dong Qing was so smart and her sixth sense was so accurate, she would quite possibly escape from Earth Fiend. If she still couldn't escape, then he couldn't really help her. He did what he could. The reason Yi Mo knew he was in danger was because he knew that the Cha family gave the Jade Woman plate to Earth Fiend as a deal. Perhaps the Earth Fiend wouldn't disclose the Cha family got the blood coral, but they would if they knew he got it. Perhaps at this moment, the Earth Fiend already knew something happened to the Cha family and had dispatched large numbers of hitmen while spreading the news of the blood coral wide. Although Earth Fiend was an international organization, they were connected to the hidden sects and could notify the hidden sects about the blood coral. In the eyes of ancient martial arts cultivators, the blood coral was much more important than the blue flower, blue leaf grass Yi Mo got last time. It said that the blood coral could be made into soup that allowed Earth level to reach great heaven level. However, the Qiao family and others didn't even know how valuable it was and tried to use it to ascend to yellow level. It was such a waste of something so valuable. If it was just some hidden sect martial artists coming to rob it, Yi Mo wouldn't care, but it involved too much. Once too many people came, Yi Mo wasn't sure if he could escape. His flying sword wasn't invincible. Once people knew his fighting style, they only needed 2 to 3 Earth levels to control his flying sword and have 2 more Earth levels surround him. Then he would be dead for sure. Even if they didn't control his flying sword, they only needed to gang up on him and his spirit chi wouldn't be enough. Once he used up too much spirit chi, it would be the time he died. Yi Mo knew that without a flying sword, his real power was only about the same as an Earth-level elementary stage. The reason he could easily kill Earth-level and subjugate Zhang Zhihui was completely because he had a flying sword and spirit sense which the ancient martial artists didn't know about. The gap between Dao cultivation and ancient martial arts grew bigger the later. It got until eventually ancient martial artists were just insects in the eyes of cultivators. But in the early stages, Dao cultivators were no match for ancient martial artists. Yi Mo was in this early stage. He hasn't even become a Dao cultivator completely. If Yi Mo wasn't involved in martial arts a little and his power level was decent, he would have been long dead. Yi Mo knew the Earth Fiend did things fast, and now that he was probably exposed, there was probably a lot of hidden sect masters rushing towards Liangpu. But he couldn't leave now. This Yin Fiend place was too precious. A Yin Fiend place like this definitely had the Yin Fiend bead. He wouldn't pass by such thing. Although he had no use for it now, this Yin Fiend bead was very useful for ghost cultivators and making artifacts. Yin Fiend bead was worth a city and was rare even in the cultivation realm, much less on Earth. In the cultivation realm, the Yin Fiend bead was worth much more than a blood coral. Plus, this bead was very harmful to ordinary people. It would benefit others and himself if he took it. If he didn't take it now, perhaps someone would recognize it, and by the next time he came, it would be gone. Yi Mo believed it would only take him an hour or two to take the Yin Fiend bead. He didn't believe he would be surrounded in 1 or 2 hours in Liangpu. Far away in a luxurious private mansion in Hong Kong, a man in blue pajamas with a face of bleakness sat in a grandiose lounge with a hand holding a yellow bug. If Chang Qing saw this, he would immediately understand this bug was the one Yi Mo took off him, but it somehow got here. It seemed the bug flew a long distance and was quite fatigued. An almost nude maid brought in a plate of fruit and milk and walked over lightly. She walked in front of the man and knelt, carrying the plate with her head and saying in a soft voice, "Master, please have some breakfast." The bleak man picked up the fruit plate and put it aside. The kneeling girl looked up in surprise. This had never happened before. Even when the master needed their service, it wouldn't be at breakfast time. This man dropped the bug, and the bug quickly burrowed inside the woman's body. The woman screamed and fell on the ground. Soon, the blood from her face was all gone, and she became a pale body in a few moments. But immediately, a man came and carried the body away. The goop bug flew back in the man's hands. However, the bug wasn't in a withered state anymore and became lively. The blue-clothed man got up and said bleakly, "Ching Ching was killed and no news got back. The thing in Liangpu must have gone out of control. This Yi Mo really exceeds my expectations. I wonder how a goo would be like after feeding it someone like him. Let Sha 1 contact the hidden sections. Tell them about the blood coral. Earth Fiend will fully cooperate with them. I just want Yi Mo dead or alive." "Yes," someone in the corner replied and left immediately. This Cha family is really useless, and they call themselves semi-hidden family. They can't even keep a mere blood coral. I just told them to keep for a week, and they can't even do that. The blue-clothed man snorted. If Cha Rulong knew about this, perhaps he would crawl out from the ground and say it was their Cha family who robbed the blood coral and gave the Earth Fiend the Jade Woman plate in order to shut their mouths. Even so, this man still said the blood coral was placed in the Cha family temporarily. Perhaps Cha Rulong never expected this to happen. The hidden sects stayed hidden, but if they came out, they would fight for interest. With the foundation of the Cha family, they would be feeding an organization like Earth Fiend free benefits if they tried to scheme with them. Even if Yi Mo didn't take their blood coral, it would eventually become the Earth Fiends. Why did the semi-hidden family fall? It was because their brains were rusting and still wanted to live in a busy city. If the Cha family didn't have a Yin Fiend place, they would have been long annihilated. Or, if someone knew about the Yin Fiend beads worth, the Cha family would have been long devoured as well. news of the blood coral spread amongst the hidden sections. Sometimes, as long as the news got out, it spread very fast. Countless hidden sect masters rushed towards Liangpu, this small city. The U Association auction couldn't attract everyone, but the appearance of the blood coral almost got all the hidden sect masters coming. Now, the hidden sect martial artists hadn't had someone reach Great Heaven State in almost a few hundred years, except for the inner hidden sections. The real inner hidden sects rarely appeared before the world, so the people outside didn't know if they had Great Heaven level masters. But the outer hidden sects and the semi-hidden sects, the latest Great Heaven State person would have to be traced back to the beginning of the Ming Dynasty, the old Taoist Zhang Sanfeng. TL note: Zhang Sanfeng is the creator of Tai Chi. Yi Mo didn't know about these ancient martial arts cultivators who swarmed to his direction with rapid speed. Although he knew that once the blood coral was known to the world, it would cause a frenzy amongst the hidden sects, he didn't expect it to be to this extent. Almost all hidden sects who got news of this swarmed here without hesitation. Yi Mo didn't know about these ancient martial arts cultivators who swarmed to his direction with rapid speed. Although he knew that once the blood coral was known to the world, it would cause a frenzy amongst the hidden sects, he didn't expect it to be to this extent. Almost all hidden sects who got news of this swarmed here without hesitation. A treasure that granted ascension to Great Heaven State was a fortune. Great Heaven State meant increased lifespan. If you can't reach Great Heaven State, even if you're the peak of Earth level, your lifespan won't increase. And not only did Great Heaven State grant you extra life, once you reach the state, then all of the hidden sects would bow down to you. It's said that in the inner hidden sects there were many Great Heaven State masters, but this was a legend. No one had seen the inner hidden sect Great Heaven masters come out and show off. Or perhaps those who wanted to show off wouldn't even be able to become Great Heaven State. But those who could reach Great Heaven State didn't have time to show off. They were pursuing a higher state. At this moment, Yi Mo was already tens of meters underground of the backyard of the Cha family. He was only stage 3 Qi gathering and couldn't completely control Earth maneuver. It could only be used when he was in the tertiary stages of Qi gathering. But although he couldn't use that technique, he had a way to save time. There was a deep well in the backyard of the Cha family. Yi Mo went in it and started digging. The backyard of the Cha family was already bleak. The bottom of the well was even colder and full of yin qi. Ordinary people wouldn't even want to go in. Even though Yi Mo was a cultivator, he felt it was quite scary at the bottom. The well was very deep, almost 40 to 50 meters. There wasn't much water inside. Yi Mo stopped at the surface of the water. The water was only 5 to 6 meters deep. Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense in it. It was a small well, but there were multiple bones. They were all women. Thinking about what Cha Rulong said, Yi Mo couldn't help feel sorry for these women who went in the Cha family. Their sole function was to reproduce. As long as they raised the kids, their function was over. One could imagine that the women either jumped themselves or were forced down here. This was an unimaginable family. Yi Mo chose a place on the wall of the well and started digging. Soon the earth covered the bones. Although Yi Mo couldn't completely use earth maneuver, he could half use it while digging. After an hour alter, Yi Mo was already 100 m deep. After 100 meters, Yi Mo felt the yin qi was getting increasingly stronger. Yi Mo knew he was getting closer and closer to the yin fiend bead, so he dug faster and faster. Another hour later, Yi Mo felt light, and he came in a space that was like an underground room. Yi Mo rejoiced. He knew this was where the yin fiend bead was. This was because when the yin fiend bead grew, it would keep pushing away the earth around it until eventually forming a space. This space was the region of the yin fiend bead. The larger this space, was, the higher the quality of the Fiend bead. The space in front of him was a few cubic meters, meaning that this Fiend bead was definitely extreme quality. Just when Yemo was about to enter the space, this Fiend bead felt it. It immediately started flying as though wanting to run away from where Yemo came from. However, Yemo knew the properties of the Fiend bead. How could he let something that was in his hands escape? Soon he enveloped the Fiend bead with his spirit chi. A ping-pong ball-sized black bead landed in his hands. The intense Fiend chi emitted over. Yemo praised. Was this Fiend bead? Although he had heard about it, this was the first time he held it in his hand. He really earned big this time. Yemo knew that he had wasted a few hours already with this bead, so he had to leave quickly. He casually took out a jade box to put it in and inscribed a few seals on it before putting it in his ring. Once he packed it away, the intense Fiend chi started to dissipate. Yemo used wind control to quickly go up the well and leave. At this moment, more than 10 figures had landed outside the Cha family houses and had set up a perimeter. As soon as Yemo came up, he noticed the situation outside and cursed. He didn't waste a single bit of time after getting this Fiend bead. He had only spent 2 hours, but these people were already here. They were really fast and even got the government involved. This is such an intense Fiend place. Since this is a Fiend place, there must be a Fiend bead. This trip was really worth it. An old man in his 60s stood and said. His face was full of joy and surprise. Yemo was shocked. These people here were all martial artists. How did they know about the Fiend bead? It seemed there were masters here too. What should he do? He didn't dare to use his spirit sense to scan this old man. He was sure his power was the strongest he had seen, even stronger than Zhang Zhihui. Even though this old man wasn't Great Heaven State, he wasn't far from it. If he was stopped by this guy and stalled for time, he would be in danger. Yemo calculated and got this conclusion. If he didn't leave now, it would only get harder and harder later. This was only the first group, and there would be more people. Thinking about this, Yemo didn't hesitate and used invisibility to climb out of the well and controlled his chi waves while carefully walking out. However, Yemo underestimated an Earth-level peak stage master. He only walked a few meters, and that old man noticed something was up. He looked at where Yemo was standing and frowned while raised the sword in his hands. It should be him. Catch him. He has invisibility artifact. At this moment, not only that old man, but the other people also noticed Yemo. A man next to the wall with black level power stabbed to Yemo without hesitation. At this moment, Yemo no longer held back and grabbed out his flying sword. 2 slices, he didn't let the sword fly. The first swing cut the man's long sword in half, and the second sword pierced into his throat. This wasn't a time to show mercy. Yemo knew that if he was stopped, no one would have mercy on him. The more he killed now, the greater his hopes of escaping were. Although it was a short moment, Yemo had been stopped again. Seeing Yemo kill one, the old man grunted, "Kill him! He's chosen the demonic path," killing immediately. Then, he raised his long sword and pierced at Yemo. The tip of the sword had an inch-long sword ray. Sword ray. Gong martial uncle can use sword ray. That's so amazing. People immediately gasped. Yemo sneered. Although he knew it was hard for martial arts cultivators to cultivate sword ray, but this was nothing in Yemo's eyes. Yemo threw out his flying sword, and with a purple ray, it sliced towards the old man's long sword. The long sword was knocked, and not only did the sword ray disappear, but the half-inch at the tip was also sliced off. It actually broke my falling rainbow sword. Nice sword. The moment the long sword was broken, the old man's eyes were full of disbelief. But he wasn't mad, and instead he was joyful. His eyes was filled with fervor. A magical sword that can break the falling rainbow sword, even fish intestine sword and Ganjiang Moxie would only be so. I must get this sword. He didn't hide his love for Yi Mo's sword at all. Although Yi Mo's sword flew out of his hand, he believed Yi Mo threw it. He never expected Yi Mo to control it. The old man actually dumped his sword and closed his hands, wanting to catch Yi Mo's flying sword. You're asking to die. Yi Mo sneered. This old fart wanted his sword and actually used his hands to catch it. What a hillbilly, he probably didn't even know what spirit control was. He spirit controlled the flying sword. Unless the old man's spirit sense was multiple levels stronger than his, then the old man wouldn't be able to control his sword at all. Slush. Yi Mo's sword sliced the old man's hand off like tofu and went into his chest without a moment of pause. Yi Mo breathed easy. He knew the reason that he won so easily was because this old man didn't know what a flying sword was. The other people saw this, and it wouldn't be so easy to kill them again. Gong, martial uncle. The other men immediately realized something was wrong. Their martial uncle Gong was pierced, and it seemed to be fatal. His sword is weird. It can attack on itself. Don't worry about he. Hurry up and attack him. This old man used his other hand and all the chi in his body to control Yi Mo's flying sword. Everyone noticed that Yi Mo's sword was different and took out their weapons to attack Yi Mo without hesitation. Yi Mo's flying sword was originally going to go attack other people after killing this old man, but it was grabbed by the old man, and this would delay a few seconds. This time was enough for others to attack Yi Mo. Yi Mo's heart sunk. This scenario occurred indeed. He used his spirit sense. The flying sword passed through the old man's chest like a comet, spun around, and attacked towards the swords that attack him. Earth-level martial artists were much stronger and faster than black-level. Yi Mo could easily kill black-level, but he was having trouble with the surrounded attacks of Earth-levels. Earth-level martial artists were much stronger and faster than black-level. Yi Mo could easily kill black-level, but he was having trouble with the surrounded attacks of Earth-levels. Other than the old man he killed, there are 2 Earth levels out of the 5 attacking him, and they were both intermediate stage. Although Yi Mo had summoned back his flying sword, he was still a step slower. The flying sword stopped the 3, but couldn't stop the other 2. Yi Mo used a wind blade on the black level while punching the back of the sword of an Earth level. This was just a moment. The Earth level struck back by Yi Mo, retreated a few steps, and happened to see Yi Mo kill that black level with wind blade. Although he didn't know what projectile Yi Mo used, but it was obviously very strong. Yi Mo breathed again and didn't hesitate. He didn't hold back at all, using multiple wind blades while hurling his flying sword quickly at the Earth level he struck back. The moment that Earth level was struck back, he felt Yi Mo's inner chi wasn't much stronger than his, but his flying sword and that invisible projectile was very strong. Seeing the flying sword come over again, he felt a sliver of fear at the bottom of his heart. He quickly called, "Stop! Do you really want to kill everyone? We're from the He-Lu sect, one of the 6 big sects of the hidden sections. You offend us, and there will be nowhere you can run. You won't even have a place to bury you." As he spoke, he dodged the flying sword again. Yi Mo's guess was right. Once they knew the properties of the flying sword, it would take longer to kill Earth levels. Yi Mo used wind blade to kill 2 more, and the remaining one was also Earth level. Those 2 Earth levels obviously knew Yi Mo's flying sword's properties and started to stick together to deal with Yi Mo. Yi Mo had used up a lot of spirit chi, and his flying sword was getting slower, and he couldn't do anything to them. At this moment, Yi Mo's heart was burning with desperation. He had to kill these 2 very rapidly and run. Otherwise, more and more people would come, and his chance of escape would grow less. If it wasn't that the hidden sect was too threatening, perhaps the police outside would have come in already. His spirit chi depleted rapidly, and if he didn't waste 2 hours underground, perhaps he would have lasted longer, but now, although the 2 Earth levels were having trouble with his flying sword, he couldn't kill them. This made him desperate. Stop. Take back your flying sword. If you continue, my sect swears to annihilate your family. The other Earth level didn't know Yemo was low on spirit chi. He only knew that if he continued like this, they would be killed. Although his face was pale, Yemo still sneered and said, I'm not afraid of threats. Die. Then Yemo spat out a mouth of essence blood. His flying sword accelerated and made a sharp turn, slicing through their necks. Blood spewed like a fountain, and the two Earth levels died. Yemo stumbled. He burned his essence blood to kill these two and was at the end of his strength. Although the after effects of burning essence blood was great, if he didn't do that, then perhaps he would be the one to die soon. Yemo stumbled forward. He knew if he didn't leave now, he wouldn't be able to. He scanned his spirit sense out 100 meters, and another few cars came. They didn't look like normal men. Yemo quickly picked up the weapons on the ground and resisted the pain of his meridians and threw out a few fireballs, burning the bodies. It would be worth it delaying the Hilu sect, knowing their men died. But at the same time, a sense of danger surged from behind his heart. Yemo was unable to make the appropriate dodge because he already dried up his spirit chi. The punch struck right into the back of his heart, and Yemo spat out blood again. He looked back, and it was that old man whom he killed first. He had a vicious smile on his mouth. This old thing had a flying sword pierce his heart, but still wasn't dead completely. His life was really tough. Yemo didn't think, and threw back a few fireballs, using up almost the rest of his spirit chi. He didn't even dare to look to see if those bodies were burnt. He struggled and climbed over the wall. Although Yemo's invisibility were useless in front of ancient martial arts masters, but it was enough for ordinary people locking down the estate. I smell blood. Police said strangely. The person beside him immediately made a quiet sign. This thing isn't ordinary. We should just listen to orders from above. Don't say what you're not meant to say. Yemo was shocked. Although he went invisible, he still couldn't hide the bloody scent from his body. But luckily, these two cops didn't intend on doing anything. He was very tired, but still quickly disappeared. As soon as Yemo left, another 7 or 8 martial arts charged into the backyard. Martial brother, the Hilu sect people came first, right? How come I don't see them? A nice-looking girl walked around and said with a frown face, Did they chase out already? The middle-aged man who was the martial brother didn't talk, but another youth continued. That middle-aged man closed his eyes and didn't reply. After a moment, he opened his eyes and said, It's possible, but outside has been locked down by the government. If people went over, there would be news, but there was none. Do you guys smell this burning smell? MHM, there does seem to be such smell. There's some blood here. That youth was very meticulous and quickly found the blood drops on the ground. The middle-aged man squat down and looked. Search this place and the well immediately. Yemo really wanted to run out of Liangpu, but he knew that he was in a weaker state than a normal person. In order to avoid the blood smell on him, Yemo went to a shopping mall and changed his clothes. Then he hid in the back of a Uda and didn't dare to move. This was because he saw more and more masters rushing into Liangpu. There were even helicopters above his head. A young man wearing earrings came in and carried a box of wine with him. He opened the back door and was prepared to put the wine in. Yemo used his invisibility skill and rushed in to hide. As soon as Yemo went in, this youth was about to close the back compartment of the car. Yemo felt a fit of dizziness and was about to fall asleep. The car started moving. Yemo knew he couldn't fall asleep now. Although he was very fatigued, he knew that the car had been moving for a while and stopped at a highway toll station. There were people checking at the station, but Yemo didn't worry. Although his spirit chi was almost gone, he could still go past the checkpoint. He was scared that these people was also going to flip around the things inside the car. His invisibility could only last a few seconds. But Yemo soon found that he was worrying too much. This young man obviously had his ways. He just yelled a few sentences, and the workers there let him go. They didn't even open the back of the car. Yi Emo felt relieved. It seemed that no matter how strong the hidden sects were, they couldn't control some things. It was obvious that the people working there felt it wasn't a good thing to annoy the youth. They would rather pretend they didn't hear the orders of their superiors than offend this youth, who could bring trouble to them at any time. If they didn't do what they were told, they would be fine as no one said anything. But if they annoyed this young master, perhaps they would lose their jobs tomorrow. Yi Emo actually felt gratitude towards this youth. If it wasn't for this guy, it would be really hard for him to escape Liangpu. Perhaps it was completely in chaos already in Liangpu. The car was on the highway out of Liangpu, and Yi Emo was completely relaxed. The blood coral mattered much more than the blue flower, blue leaf grass to these ancient martial artists, because blood coral could let them ascend great heaven state. But in Yi Emo's heart, the blood coral was far less valuable than a mature blue flower, blue leaf grass. He could use the blood coral now, but his blue flower, blue leaf grass was still immature, so at the current stage, blood coral was still more valuable to Yi Emo. Emo started to sleep after relaxing. He had heavy internal injuries, and his spirit chi was also depleted. The next time he woke up, he found the car was parked outside a bar. It was dark already. He probably slept for 7 or 8 hours. Yi Emo scanned his spirit sense around and didn't find anyone suspicious. He packed away the box of wine. Although this kid saved his life, he really didn't have much money now. This wine wasn't bad. He would borrow it for a drink first. Yi Emo pushed open the door from the back. He ran his spirit chi, and there was no reaction. If he didn't sleep, perhaps it would be hard for him to even get up now. That last punch from that old man was too heavy. Yi Emo stood at the door of the boisterous bar and looked at his ring. There was still around 10K cash. He only had one idea now, and that was to find a safe place to recover and start concocting pills. Yi Emo stood at the door of the boisterous bar and looked at his ring. There was still around 10K cash. He only had one idea now, and that was to find a safe place to recover and start concocting pills. Originally, if he wasn't exposed, that small yard in Ninghai would be the best, but now, Yi Emo didn't dare to go there at all. Going there would be running right into a trap. He could only find a place no one knew to hide and concoct pills. The blood coral in his hands was enough to make 3 cauldrons of pills, but Yi Emo didn't dare to be careless at all. With his current skills, these 3 cauldrons of pills might all be no good. So he had to find a quiet place, a place that was full of spirit chi. He even needed to wait for a full recovery first. But now he only had that much money on him, and looking at this place he had never came before, Yi Emo felt quite lost without his power. "Big brother, do you need help?" A woman with a half-naked breast walked in front of Yi Emo and asked while crossing her arms on her chest. Her eyes were full of seduction. Although her look was ordinary, under the dim light and covered by cheap perfume, she was kind of sexually attractive. Yi Emo barely made a smile and shook his head. No need. Then he turned to leave. But this woman hadn't given up and stopped him and even said worriedly, "Big brother, I'm really clean. I don't have any diseases. If you don't believe me, you can wear a condom." Yi Emo frowned and looked at this woman with thick makeup and said again, "I know, but I really don't want to. I'm still busy. Goodbye." This woman looked at Yi Emo as disappointment and sullenness flashed across her eyes. Although she had to take part in this business, if possible, she still wanted customers who were decent. That young man dressed ordinarily, but his calm temperament made her really want to do business with him. She could even lower the price a little bit. But this youth didn't want her, even he looked not rich. Yi Emo sighed. There were women like her everywhere. Not like the brothels in Luoyu. They just came out in streets to get customers. He didn't look down on such women. If possible, he believed no one would want to do this career. The woman suddenly bit her mouth and ran up to stop Emo. "Big brother, I see that you're not very familiar with here. You were looking around. I can help you and satisfy any requests you have. My price isn't high." Emo looked dazedly at this woman and thought that he did want to find a quiet place to stay. It was going to cost money for an agent, so he might as well let this woman earn some. It would be a little help to her. Plus, if he wanted an agent, he would have to wait till tomorrow and risk exposing himself. Thinking about this, Emo nodded and said, "Okay, I don't have a place to live now. I want to find a quiet and clean place to live. If you can help me find such a house, I'm willing to pay you. But I'm also poor and don't have much with me. If possible, I will come wait for you here tomorrow." Emo really didn't have much money. He only had a little more than 10K. In a city like this, living expenses would be at least 3K a month. The woman shook her head. "Big brother, it's fine. I charge little. If you don't have enough money, you can give it to me later after you settle down. You can also look at houses with me tonight. If you agree, then you can move in tomorrow. My place is very close. It's only 2 minutes. Emo immediately had a good impression of this woman. They say prostitutes are heartless and actors are disloyal. This prostitute could say such words, meaning that she longed for friendship and trust. If he could find a place to move in tomorrow, he could start doing his own things earlier. Plus, Emo didn't want to go find a house in the middle of the day. It could be said that this woman's suggestion was just what he wanted. It was possible that this might be a setup, but he really didn't mind. Although he couldn't attack, he didn't mind using some fireball charms. Not far away from the bar parked a normal car. In it, 2 policemen stared at Emo and that woman. They saw the two leave the bar, and they quickly followed. "After this is done, our mission for this month is over. Next month, I really don't want to capture these people anymore. It's disgusting to look at. All they talk about is money. This is completely a disgusting money and meat trade." The young policewoman said to that policeman. That policeman laughed. "You'll understand in the future. People love apprehending sex trade the most. Not only is it safe, but it improves your track record fast while getting good pay. Plus, we all love. Stop being disgusting." That policewoman stopped the man's words. Although she wasn't in the police department for long, she knew what her male colleagues was thinking about. They were no better than that man. After a while, she muttered to herself, "I want to enter the major crime squad." The policewoman meant her words. Usually, it was policemen who swept for sex trade. There were rarely any policewomen. She wanted to enter the major crime squad, but she had no experience. So she had no right to enter. Thus, she came here for experience. After this month, it would be over. However, there was one point that her colleague was right about. Sweeping for sex trade was a highly efficient way of earning good records. If it was before Emo was injured, he would have noticed someone follow him with his spirit sense. But now he was too heavily injured and his spirit chi was almost depleted. He didn't dare to scan around his spirit sense. Plus, he just arrived at a new city, and he didn't believe there would be someone to follow him. "I have a good friend who is doing properties in Huiyin City. I can get a lot of info on properties, so don't worry about it. I can find a place you like." The woman was afraid Emo wouldn't believe her, so she kept reassuring to Emo. Emo didn't really want to talk. For him, it was enough to find a suitable place to live. He didn't care where the woman got her info from. Seeing Emo not talk, the woman thought Emo didn't believe her, so she quickly said, "We also need to change places frequently, so we also need housing information." Emo dazed. Why did they keep changing places? But before Emo spoke, the woman continued, "We're here. My few friends and I all live here. There's internet inside, I'll show you and you'll know." Emo followed this woman to a room on the second floor. The woman closed the door and walked in to open the computer while saying, "You sit for a while. We can get the housing information for you immediately." Yemo was very happy with the way this woman did things. It was better the faster for Yemo, I found it. Come look which one suits you. The woman was very fast. Yemo stood up, but he didn't walk to the computer. Instead, he opened the door suddenly. He sneered to the two police officers outside the door. You guys really are the servants of the citizens, standing outside to watch for us for free. That young policewoman blushed and immediately switched to a disgusted expression, sneering. Stop acting innocent. I suspect you to be involved in sex trade. Fuck off. If you dare to say anything, I'll report you immediately. Which eye did you see me in sex trade? Oh, did you send yourself here to me for sex trade? Sorry, I'm not interested in you. I will count to 3. If you still stay here, I will report you immediately. If you don't believe me, you can try. Yemo felt unlucky. These people were so bored that they did such pointless things. If he wasn't afraid of things getting big, he would have kicked over already. You. This policewoman's face was pale with anger and was about to attack. Yemo was waiting for her to attack. If she did, he would teach her a lesson immediately. Although he didn't have spirit chi, he could still take on 2 cops. Zhang Feng, let's go. That policeman looked once at Yemo and pulled the policewoman away. But before they left, she said to Yemo, Don't fall in my hands next time. Very well, indeed. Don't fall in my hands next time. Yemo sneered. This policewoman was quite angered by Yemo, but she knew she had no evidence. Today, she really didn't understand what happened. From past experience, sex traders usually got in bed straight away, who would wait for a while and open the door. Even if we didn't catch him, there's no need to be afraid of him. Why are we going? That Zhang Feng was still unhappy. This policeman was obviously more experienced than Zhang Feng. He said helplessly, It's our wrong to be standing at their door without catching him. If he sued, it would be us to suffer. For ordinary people, I wouldn't let you go, but did you see that man? Not only were his eyes cold, but he wasn't afraid at all. That meant that he had power behind him to support him. We're just little policemen. Anything can bring us down. But since this person already has authority background, he still comes for prostitutes on the streets, no class at all. The woman who was looking at houses saw the 2 policemen and was immediately scared pale, but she didn't expect Yemo to actually frighten off the 2 policemen. Hurry up and find a room. It's best if I can move in tonight. Yemo hurried. The housing info is here. You can come and have a look. At this moment, the woman reacted and started to feel reverence towards Yemo. People in their profession feared police investigation the most, and this youth in front of her actually yelled the police away. He must not be an ordinary person. The housing info is here. You can come and have a look. At this moment, the woman reacted and started to feel reverence towards Yemo. People in their profession feared police investigation the most, and this youth in front of her actually yelled the police away. He must not be an ordinary person. Yemo walked in front of the computer and saw there were large amounts of housing info. He clicked open one of them. There were pictures and descriptions. Most of these houses were quite cheap, and a lot of them were in densely populated areas. Yemo frowned. He wasn't happy with these houses. However, lucky that there were a lot of options. Yemo looked down and soon found one that was very suitable for him. Lakeside Villa. This real estate was very large and didn't seem to have been completely constructed. There was an open space all around, and there were only 2 isolated buildings far apart from each other in it. Other than the 2, the rest of the places were empty space with weeds. In such a busy city, he didn't expect there to be such a large patch of empty land. Looking at the images, he knew that it wasn't empty for a day or 2. But since the construction hadn't been finished, there should be construction equipment nearby, but there was none. This made Yemo feel very strange. The 2 buildings were both 12 stories high, and one of them didn't seem to be finished as well. The completed one was the building on the left, and in front it, there was a man-made lake. It was very quiet and good for cultivation. Plus, the rent price was very cheap there. It was less than 2K a month. Only levels 1 to 8 had been completely decorated. And Yemo found that there were a lot of empty rooms. I'll take this one. Since level 9 isn't open, I'll live at level 8. Room 802. Emo pointed at the room he wanted and said to the woman, "Huh, you want to live at Lakeside Villa?" The woman looked troubled at Emo. Emo immediately asked, "What's wrong? Has the place been rented out already? It clearly says there are a lot of empty rooms. What's wrong?" "No, it's not that." The woman quickly waved her hand. "It's because the left building isn't clean and there were often stories of haunting. After a few owners moved in, their families died. Then they just had to move out. They couldn't even sell it out. This resulted in the construction of the second building unable to be finished. Those who live in this house are all outsiders. Some don't know the buildings are haunted and some just want rooms for the cheap price. However, many people who have lived in there for a long time would experience all sorts of problems. Now, there are less and less people living in there. Haunted." Emo repeated, but soon said, "I will live there. If you can help me get it ready tonight, this 1K is yours." Then Emo took out 1K and put it on the table. He wasn't even afraid of ghost cultivators. Why would he be scared of haunting building? Emo originally thought there was no ghost in this world, but he met one at Shinongjia. Although he wasn't sure if it was a ghost, those spirits that formed naturally were way too weak to him. He could kill countless with one fireball, and he had spirit sense, so he wasn't worried about not seeing them. Since it was haunted, it meant less people came here, and that would be better for him. Huh. The woman looked at the 1K on the table and was immediately touched. She only earned 1 to 200 a night taking in customers. She originally just wanted 200, but Emo just took out 1K. It could be seen that he wasn't poor and was quite generous. "Okay, I'll contact then immediately." The woman nodded without hesitation. She already said what she needed to say. Since Emo still wanted to go in, there was nothing she could do. Emo nodded and said, "I need to remind you, I like peace. If I know that you have been going around telling everyone I moved there, then don't blame me for what will happen." The woman quickly nodded. She wouldn't want to offend someone like Emo at all. He had to admit that this woman was quite fast. It had only been an hour or so, and she already contacted her friend and took Emo to the place. He handed in 4 months of rent with 1 month being bond. It could be seen that the owner also really wanted to rent the place out, fearing that a day late would result in otherwise. Despite so, Emo was quite thankful of the woman who found him this place. She could tell him the bad sides of the building, meaning that in the depth of her heart, she was quite kind. Lakeside Villa was just as what Emo saw in the picture. It was a large open ground with a man-made lake. Although the surrounding was busy, but this place was quite quiet. Emo closed the door and studied his place. The living room was very large, and there were 3 bedrooms, 1 kitchen, and 1 washroom. Everything was furbished with matching furnitures. There just wasn't quilt. There was dust due to long time of desolation. Emo waved his hand using a cleaning magic and made the house clean all of a sudden. He came to the main bedroom and stood on the balcony. There were green and red lights out, and the view was rather open. However, such a good apartment couldn't be sold due to haunting. Emo shook his head, but apparently the haunting was on the 9th floor, so everything above it had been shut. After sitting down and resting, Emo scanned his spirit sense out. He wasn't the only one living in this building. Those living on level 1 and 2 were elderly, and the 2 levels apparently had been moderated to a seniors' care center. The 3rd level was a dining hall. In the 4th level lived 2 families. By the looks of them, they did businesses. There was only a small office on the 5th floor, but there was no one there. The 7th and 6th floor were empty. In the 8th floor, he was the only resident who just moved in today. No one lived here before. Each level could fit 2 families. Yi Emo scanned his spirit sense but didn't find anything unclean. He ate a few recovery pills and spent the night meditating and managed to recover a little. That old man's last punch was so hard that he probably needed a month to fully recover. He paid 3 months' rent. The first month he would recover, the second month concoct pills, and the third month start going for chi gathering middle stage. A night passed, and Yi Emo stood up refreshed. Although the inner wounds affected his mobilization of chi, but his body didn't have any major problems. The rest of the recovery was only a matter of time. Yi Emo checked his wallet. He only had around 2K left. However, that was enough for him. He didn't dare to make any calls now before he had the ability to protect himself. He wouldn't trust anyone. Who knew if Han Zaixin would be listening to his call? Plus, he never even did what he promised Han Zaixin. Yi Emo walked down the stairs, and after going by the 4th level, 2 men were dragging a big bag. Yi Emo scanned. There were clothes and things inside. It seemed they were doing clothing business. The 2 men were dragging the bag, and Yi Emo, who suddenly came downstairs, scared them. They looked at Yi Emo, not even daring to talk. Yi Emo laughed helplessly and said, "Don't worry, I moved in upstairs last night. I used the elevator so you guys don't know. We'll be neighbors from now on." He knew what the 2 were afraid of. There were too many tales about this building, and there had been no one living upstairs before. And now, one suddenly coming down. They had no reason not to be scared. But hearing Yi Emo's words, the 2 were overjoyed. To them, the more people living here, the better. After a simple conversation, Yi Emo knew that they were doing clothing business and were actually from 2 families. The chubby man was called Han Sitsai. The slimmer man was called Kai Jinyu. They both came from Zhejiang to do business here. When they first moved in, they didn't know about the situation here either, but when they knew it, they had lived here fine for a few months. They liked the good environment here and the cheap price, so they didn't move away. Yi Emo ate something and then bought some daily commodities before going back to his home. His main goal now was to recover. This place was quiet indeed. People from downstairs never came up. Even the 2 people from the 5th floor in the office never came up, and they always finished work on time and never did any overtimes. They usually left at 5 p.m. People downstairs gradually knew that a young man lived on the 8th floor. Although they didn't know why he had such guts, no one came and said anything to him. They only knew that the young man would get up very early to exercise outside and then eat breakfast before coming back. He would stay at home then until the next day. Then he would come out early again. Yi Emo liked this environment a lot. A week later, his wounds were considerably better. With this speed, perhaps he could recover in less than a month. This was the 9th day Yi Emo had moved in, and just after he finished cultivating and was prepared to sit on the balcony, he suddenly heard this knocking sound on the floorboard above. It had a rhythm to it and stopped after a few knocks before sounding again. Yi Emo immediately stood up. He knew there was no one above, and even the stairs were shut. The elevator also stopped no more higher than the 8th floor. In that case, where did the sound come from? You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.